You're live. You're live with Daniel Schmackums. 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 Hold on, is that look like that? And why you can't go Reese? I said, I do want to start this conversation off with Cameron because, and I see a lot of people say this on social media and they're kind of complaining about, oh, the NBA got too many things on streaming platforms and this, that, and the third. I can't watch all the games. My only question is, even for somebody like Cameron, it's like, oh, you don't got Peacock already on your TV. You already don't have Amazon Prime. Because like some of these things, I feel like you kind of already should have these. Like this shouldn't be just like, oh, I don't got, like, you don't lay up with women. Like what you watching in the house besides, like I know 90%, everybody got Netflix. Cool. But still at the same time, it's like you ain't got Peacock, you don't got Amazon Prime, you don't got HBO Max, and the NBA literally only got Peacock and Amazon Prime. But for people to complain and be like, oh, the NBA on too many streaming platforms, like I kind of get it when if it was like something miscellaneous where everybody may not have like maybe not no shade, but you kind of got to throw shade to like Paramount. Paramount don't have a bunch of like big name TV shows that everybody talking about that you kind of got to have. But I feel for something like a Peacock where it's like, I mean, people kind of already watch Peacock. People already kind of talk about Peacock. People already talk about shows on Peacock. So realistically, why don't you already got Peacock? I don't necessarily know, but I'm going to play this clip from Cameron.
Keep going to do deals. NBA, I can't find a fucking NBA game I want to see. So ESPN tonight, Peacock tomorrow morning, NBC. It's all over the place because Adam Silver is doing deal. Amazon this week. This shit was ESPN TNT. Now it's on 19 panels, and to me, it's damaging the product because I'm not downloading every app. I'm just gonna have to miss some games. I'm not getting Peacock to go see game 26 of the NBA season. Then I gotta have an Amazon. Then I gotta know it's on ESPN. Then I gotta know it's on NBC. They're collecting more money. The players are gonna make more money. That's just the way it goes. Do they deserve it? You may say they don't deserve it, but when the companies or the franchises, not just the franchises, the leagues they're playing for is making an extra $2 billion. That's just the way it's gonna go. And just in case you keep going to do deals.
So again, like I said, my only complaint, not even complaint, real pushback to Cameron is like you saying what will be the difference between it being on TV, on TNT? Because I mean, unless you realistically got cable, that means you got HBO Max. So what will be the difference between having Peacock? I'm sure if you watch Sunday Night Football, well, the NFL is on Peacock. If you watch Thursday Night Football, the NFL is on Amazon Prime. So you sitting here saying like they don't have you going back and forth to different networks every day. It's per day. Monday and Tuesday is Peacock. What is that? Friday, I believe it's Friday is on Amazon Prime, and then the rest of the days is just on whatever your local cable is, or it's on ESPN. So I don't understand this complaint, but I have seen a couple of more people complain about it. But my only thing is like, what other TV do you watch? Do you not watch TV when you're in the house? And that to me should be the $1 million question. Like, are you just sitting here saying, I only watch it via whatever the case may be? But I mean, again, like that was just something small, not nothing crazy to really talk about. But I do want, I guess, give it into other conversations. I do want to talk about YNW Melly real quick, because I ain't gonna lie, I low-key feel bad for YNW Melly, because I'm like, dog, I feel like he's never gonna get out of jail.
I'm not a lawyer, but Florida prosecutors have just dropped the witness tampering charges against YNW Melly. And to be clear, I said the witness tampering charges, not the murder charges. Shout out to Bryson Boone Paul for tweeting out the link from NBC Miami, who are the first ones to report that today, January 20th, one day before the trial was scheduled to begin, Florida prosecutors have decided to drop the charges. So now the trial is canceled. And if you need a refresher on this case and what I'm talking about, Florida prosecutors say in October of 2018, YNW Melly, whose real name is Jamel Dimmons, killed two of his longtime friends, Christopher Thomas Jr. and Anthony Williams, in the backseat of a Jeep after a night at the studio. And then they said he and his co-defendant staged the scene to look like a drive-by. So in 2023, Melly went to trial on these murder charges. But one of the key witnesses for the trial, Melly's girlfriend, whose name was Mariah Hamilton, was nowhere to be found.
In terms of your daughter, Mariah. Where is she?
I don't know.
After this incident, did she live with the family of the defendant?
She's always lived down there. Before this incident, she always lived there.
You guys haven't seen or heard from me because I'm currently wanted. I've tried to get the warrant lifted plenty of times, but it's just been like a constant battle with my lawyer and the prosecutor. So I've just been, laying low, trying to get the warrant lifted before I could even come in and, speak my part.
And she was key to the trial because prosecutors alleged that after the murder, Melly FaceTimed her. And so she apparently saw him out in some bushes in the early morning hours of October 26, 2018, when the murder happened. So that murder trial ended up in a hung jury, meaning the jurors couldn't agree on a verdict. And so a mistrial was declared. However, shortly after that mistrial, prosecutors came out and said they were charging Melly with witness tampering in relation to Mariah Hamilton. The prosecutors alleged that Melly used other inmates and people on the outside to convince Mariah not to testify. And so for these witness tampering charges, Melly was facing life in prison if he had been convicted. But now the charges are dropped. The retrial for his murder trial, the one that ended in a mistrial, is still scheduled to begin in January of 2027. So we still have about a year to wait on that trial. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what to think. I was not expecting this. What y'all think? Any lawyers out there? What y'all think about this? I'm not a lawyer.
One, of course, that lady is one of my favorite people on TikTok, the way she kind of breaks down some of these court things and kind of pieces it together. I love her content. But I'm not going to lie, I do feel, of course, realistically, if YMW Melly actually did what they sitting here saying he did, of course, you don't feel bad for him then. But realistically, right now, because he's still on trial, hasn't been found guilty, I want to say he almost been in that joint for like, 7 or 8 years? Like, bro, you got to think about it. That's a very, very long time. And especially knowing for a fact, you still got a whole nother year to wait before you actually even go to court. And what just say if he found not guilty? I see people in the TikTok comment on her page even saying it like, damn, what if he found not guilty? Like, how do you get 7 to 8 years back of your life? Like, it's gone. Like, unless you're gonna sue them, and then realistically, I guess it probably depends on realistically how YMW Melly music career goes right after he got out of jail. Because sure, if you can kind of get your career back rocking and rolling, you may sit here and say, man, cool, I can get some bread like how Drake doing right now. Yeah, I can sue them and just kind of just let my lawyers deal with it and try to get some money back from the state of Florida. But realistically, if you skate out and you kind of just feel like, all right, I just kind of beat something. If you really did it, now, again, it depends if you probably really did it or not. And if you get over on them, you feel like you're getting over, then cool, you're not gonna really stress about it. But again, like I said, that is something to realistically think a lot about, because I do sit here and be like, damn, that's a long time to sit in jail. I think a lot of times when we have these conversations about artists or entertainers and they're going through certain things, it's easy to act like they not regular humans. But I can imagine as a human sitting somewhere, bro, for 7 to 8 years and just never knowing if you won't ever come home again is absolutely crazy. So again, like I said, I kind of just thought some prayers for this point at YMW Melly until he's actually found guilty. And right now he ain't. So it's kind of like, it is what it is. I do. Matter of fact, it was a huge conversation because we kind of not just a few minutes ago talked about the NBA a little bit. LeBron James put out and you know what's so crazy? Because I thought about it for a minute. I'm like, damn, Nike, I thought kind of always do, like, I thought they always did like MLK sneakers. Maybe it was always, I know for a fact they always do Black History Jones, because I remember the Kobe's, I remember the Kevin Durant's, Kyrie Irving's, and when, LeBron, like when all of them kind of had their shoes going at the same time and like the peak of their Nike run, they all kind of, I want to say, I thought they always did an MLK shoe, but I know for a fact they always did a Black History Month sneaker. So I do want to play these. I want to play two different people kind of giving their opinions and thoughts on it. Because when I first seen it, I kind of like, how sometimes you'll see something and you'll be like, oh, the colorway, because of course that little teal, almost like Tiffany blue, it's kind of like a fire concept on a sneaker. But then when you kind of hearing other people kind of pay attention to it and really be breaking it down, where it's like, you could have probably still dropped that same color, but why are you trying to attach it to where MLK passed? And I do kind of, and realistically, I probably even play a clip of Joe Budden and them talking about their feelings and their thoughts on the decline of Nike. And I even seen Wayno kind of defending it a little bit via Twitter. But I think realistically, I know Wayno's more like a super sneakerhead, so it may be a little bit. He may feel a little bit differently about with Nike. But I think for somebody like the casual person who may buy sneakers off, especially if you're talking about just like the older you get, I think comfort in the shoe is more than just becoming a sneakerhead. And I'm sure if you follow enough people who do sneaker content via social media, you can kind of see some of them even kind of just like maybe teetering away a little bit from just, oh, this is the hype shoe, or oh, this is the retro shoe. Because let's be clear, for somebody, I grew up in the DMV, foam posits is a huge thing in the DMV area. But if I'm being honest, man, foams is not a comfortable shoe, but when you're young, you don't care. When you're in your 20s and your teens and you wearing foam posits, that don't bother you. But you see him saying you in your 40s, man, them foams on your feet kind of start to feel a little bit funny. You question spending $200 some on a pair of uncomfortable shoes when I go get some Hokas or some Brooks or some running shoes. Some shoes is same price range, but way more comfortable. Yeah, they may not look as cool or they may not be. And the crazy thing is, that's when the older you get, and again, I'll play that LeBron clip in a minute, but when the older you get and you have those conversations, it's like, who you trying to look cool to? Because yeah, maybe to a kid, some Hokas ain't gonna look cool. But to somebody in your age group, they gonna understand why you got them Hokas on. And as long as you dress them up right, they gonna respect them. Like, oh, they look sweet. I like the way you put your Hokas on. But again, like I said, if you're trying to still impress your kids or young, or you still trying to date super younger, yeah, somebody in their 20s, maybe even in their early 30s, ain't gonna respect you having on the Hokas. But if you in your late 30s, your early 40s, or even older than that, yeah, you're gonna try, like, you're gonna be more worried about the comfort on your feet. And I think realistically for Nike, I see them trying to fight back and trying to get into the comfort thing. But I think because for so long it was hype on Nike, they didn't have to really worry about the comfort of the shoe. They were just trying to sell you the hype on the shoe. But again, we'll play these LeBron clips and then we'll get back into this conversation.
Girl, when this news came across my desk, I thought AI was doing that thing, honey. I thought, ain't no way that's real. Oh no, it's real. Nike and LeBron linked up to release a special Honor the King edition shoe in honor of MLK Day yesterday. And when I say the people aren't happy, this special edition version of the LeBron XXIII, girl, comment what that means. I don't do Roman numerals. The teal colorway represents the Lorraine Motel in Memphis, Tennessee, where Martin Luther King Jr. was fatally shot in 1968. This is the place where he was assassinated. No one in the boardroom had an objection to this. Like, the shoe has equality written on the back and commemorates the moment where LeBron James scored 51 points in Memphis on MLK Day in 2008. According to Russell Winnington, the president of the National Civil Rights Museum, they found out with everybody else that this shoe was coming out. So I was thinking that the saving grace for this shoe is maybe they're raising money for the museum or trying to encourage children to visit the museum or trying to bring attention to how Trump is trying to erase Black history. But no, it's just a cash grab. John Jowers, the vice president of communications at Nike, said that design is so subjective, and some people the design will resonate with, and others maybe less so. And obviously that becomes a little more charged when you have bigger principles at play. I think
I want to pause it right there where she was just at. My only thing is, you sitting here saying it's going to who do you think is going to resonate with, where it's going to be like, oh, this is kind of fire? Because realistically, let's just sit here and say, for somebody like me, just casually seeing the shoe, because of course, if you follow any of them little shoe pages, they'll just show you a picture of old new LeBrons coming out, new KDs or new Jaws or whatever. You'll see different colorways, and sometimes you don't even know if they're real or not, because especially when it comes to like Jaws, I done seen so many million different colors of Jaws, I don't know what's real and what's fake. So when you see it, originally you kind of not really paying it no attention. Again, especially if you just doom strolling and you not just, I'm just looking at stuff I'm liking and I'm keeping it moving, which originally when I seen that shoe, that's what I did. I didn't pay it no mind until you hear people like, oh, hold on. And then sometimes, let's be clear, sometimes when you see some people get outraged about stuff, I think the first person I seen, and I'll play his clip in a minute, is a dude who be on ESPN. And kind of when he get on ESPN, he do be getting in his bag where he's super like on his woke stuff and really, and I'm listening, I love a super woke person, especially if you get on ESPN to do it. But I kind of, when he talked about the LeBron with the MLK relation to it, I didn't really pay it no mind, because I'm like, this maybe, you know what I'm saying? Like certain people, you know, I don't know if this is really their department. So are you really reaching? But then when you kind of see people who are a little dibble and dabble, or more into culture, more into style and stuff like that, and they kind of break it down to you, then you kind of be like, Nike, a little bit out of pocket. LeBron, you was tripping.
I think, I want to pause it right there where she was just at. My only thing is, you sitting here saying this The intent, though, was really to pay homage to Dr. King, his life, and his legacy. Nike has a long history of releasing products or commercials, advertisements, celebrating Black history, and usually I love them. They're calling Kaepernick programming. The fan reaction to this has been mixed. A lot of people saying this is such a non-issue, they were trying to be a good thing, and a lot of people saying the fact that this is real yet again indicates that not enough Black folks are in the rooms at Nike, or they don't feel empowered enough to speak up. What a disgrace. I'll tell y'all what I think about this in the next video, but comment below what you think, because this is a mess. Girl, when this new
So like I said, I'm gonna play that. Then I played the gentleman who, like I said, originally for me on the Instagram side, kind of brought it to attention. Let me sit here and find his clip where he was sitting here and really kind of started that conversation for me. Where is this gentleman at? I don't want to get into a lot of stuff today with my man. Oh, here we go.
Capitalism just gonna get us all, I'm telling you. So LeBron James, Nike are releasing or unveiling today that they're releasing a shoe to commemorate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King by having a colorway that is taken from the Lorraine Motel, the place where Dr. Martin Luther King was assassinated in Memphis, Tennessee, and slapping it on a Nike shoe and selling it for $210. Also on the shoe is a commemoration of LeBron James scoring 51 points in Memphis, because that moment in American history deserves to be on the same space as the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King. Look, there are so many other places that you can take colorways from to honor Dr. King. You can take places from Atlanta, take Birmingham, Montgomery. What about Washington, D.C., where he delivered the I Have a Dream speech? The last place that I would think of would be the signage from where he was assassinated. Now, look, the Lorraine Motel has now been turned into the National Civil Rights Museum. It's a beautiful museum. I know a lot about it. I was there when it opened. Actually, I was 4 years old. It does a beautiful job of telling the story of Dr. King in those last days. And I encourage everybody to go. I do not encourage everybody to feel as though buying a $200 shoe of the signage of the Lorraine Motel is doing anything to honor anybody. It just feels like a tone-deaf situation from Nike, from LeBron, from all parties involved. And I think it's also important to note why Dr. King was in Memphis in the first place on the day that he was assassinated. He was there for the rights of sanitation workers, union workers, for their livelihood and their well-being, and to honor that by creating a shoe that is made from people who are suffering from unjust labor laws and are forced to make these shoes is not really the way to go. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed while trying to fight against the dredges of capitalism. There's nothing more capitalist than slapping Nike on a shoe on a color that sort of trivializes, not sort of, very much so trivializes one of the most gruesome murders in American history. Absolutely disgraceful move by all parties involved. I don't even know where the money's going. Is the money even going to proceeds going in anywhere? Is it lining people's pockets to say, hey, let's go. You got those new MLK LeBrons that show the place that he was killed, and to releases on MLK Day. This is just bad marks all around for everybody involved. Disgraceful, disgusting act. And I hope that they can figure out some sort of way to right this wrong.
So of course, like I said, when it comes to Nike and that conversation with LeBron, and how they probably didn't realistically go, especially LeBron hasn't even really addressed it realistically, but there's some real backlash and you trying to wash it away, because literally after a couple of days after you start to see people get outraged a little bit via social media, you seen them push out a silhouette of the shut up and dribbles, where it was like whatever that lady said to him, and they had I don't even know how you come up with a colorway for the actual shut up and dribble thing. That to me is kind of crazy. And again, it makes you, because LeBron has done so much cool stuff in the Black community and uplifting Black people, realistically, that's probably why there's not a more louder outrage. Just realistically, people on social media who kind of understand how to push conversation a little bit or get ahead of a conversation that may not be as hot. Like I even like that. Like I said, this dude, when he on ESPN, he does a great job, just like he just did. He didn't just give you a hot take. He gave you information behind his take and his reasoning on why he's disappointed in LeBron and disappointed in Nike. But again, like I said, just because LeBron James is is LeBron James, and he's done so much to kind of uplift black people so often. It's hard to be realistically like, you can't really be mad at LeBron James. You could be disappointed and be like, dang, dog, how much money is too much money? You could have sat here and said nah to this. But again, like I said, for Nike, if you pay attention, Nike tries so hard to consistently just stay in people's face with what already is working. Like because man, look at how, if I'm being honest, like I'll just sit here and say, I'm telling you off the rip, Nike fumbling the ball with Wemby. And the sad thing is, they kind of didn't. Asia Wilson has a special type of fan base, so they wasn't going to be able to fumble the ball with Asia Wilson. But I felt like they kind of rushed it. They refixed it a lot with the commercial, and her fan base is just such a loyal fan base. But I'm going to tell you, and where people will kind of brush it under the wind, watch how they fumble the ball with Caitlin Clark. I seen somebody having a conversation about that, and it was, I forgot who the two people were. One dude was kind of saying he felt like they was going to milk it. But if you're watching and paying attention how America is going right now, and you kind of understand like what the Caitlin Clark real fan base is, I don't necessarily know how supportive they will still be of her when it's time to roll out a sneaker for her, especially if the WNBA goes on strike 9 times out of 10. It looked like that's probably what they will do next season. So again, out of sight, out of mind. I don't know. She's not somebody that people care about what she got going on off the court. Like, you're not sitting here following her. She's not up on all the blog pages like her counterparts are. So it's like with Nike, you can kind of just see that they so used to some things being easy, especially when it comes to athletes. Like, look at Giannis. Like, for Giannis to be argued, you'll see people always sit here and say Giannis is a top 5 basketball player. He top 5 in the world. I could argue he's not, because there's no way in hell that you're a top 5 player and your team is 11th seed in the East with no Jason Tatum, no Tyrese Halliburton, no other guaranteed Hall of Famer, even in the Eastern Conference, period. And that's not no shade to Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown, but they haven't solidified themselves to be like, oh, they going to the Hall of Fame already. Think about what we sitting here saying, and I know I'm all over the place, but just let me bounce around a little bit. For Giannis to be considered a top 5 player or like they sitting here saying he a top 5 player in the league right now, still today, playing for the Milwaukee Bucks, how the hell are you at 11th seed? No Jason Tatum, no Tyrese Halliburton. No other, it's not even another solidified Hall of Famer in the Eastern Conference right now. How you the 11th seed? That kind of don't make no sense if we just being honest. Like, the 76ers is just kind of catching their legs right now, like towards the last maybe 10 or so games. But like, what are we talking about, dog? Like, that to me is kind of crazy. But again, going back into the Nike conversation, what's the last Nike? Because I don't know how Nike really, I mean, I think Nike did a half decent job with Shador. I think realistically, when it comes to football players, it get a little bit tricky because can you really sell it as besides like hoodies and t-shirts? So I mean, I guess Nike kind of did that one half decent, but just realistically, even think about when they had Odell Beckham Jr., think about how popular Odell was. You feel like Odell Beckham should have had some type of signature Nike something. Like, I don't like, what can you really sit here and attach Odell to Nike with? And that's even probably realistically why towards the end of his contract, he had that fallout with Nike. He even sued him. I believe he even won that lawsuit. So again, with all that being said, it's kind of like, if you pay enough attention, you could see where Nike kind of gets it wrong. Again, even with the Kyrie Irving thing, and the shout outs to Kyrie, because man, for Kyrie to kind of say, here and let me go get a shoe, and that's when we're talking about certain players that have a different type of impact with people, and then Kyrie just really knows comfortable basketball sneakers. Because I see a lot of people do reviews in the Kyries on TikTok, on Instagram, playing basketball in them, and they all speak on how good and comfortable that shoe is. So again, like I said, for somebody like Kyrie Irving, and you to kind of just push him out of the situation, and you kind of be like, all right, Nike, what y'all got going on? But then you fumble it with Prince, you fumble it with Paul George, you fumbling it with Giannis. I don't sit here and see, you can even see behind me, I got a pair of Anthony Edwards, I got a pair of Angel Reese's, I got some jobs for my nieces and nephews. I'm not geeking to get no pair of Wemby's. And I think sometimes people always get that confused when you're talking about sneakers, because it's like, you can have a signature shoe, but are you really a signature athlete? Like, are you moving? Because they, again, and I think I remember when Angel Reese was really, before they even released the Angel Reese ones, when she was saying, I want people to wear Reeboks again like Jordans. And they're saying, of course, you see a lot of people online, they're going to always just give pushback. But I think people don't understand. I mean, if you paying attention now to see like her getting in movies and all these other things, you have to be a star outside of the court as well to make people want to sit here and purchase something of you. It's not about just being a good basketball player, because Steph Curry is arguably one of the greatest basketball players of all time. It depends on who you have in the conversation with. Most people say he's top 5. He could win one more championship. He may be in the top 3 conversation. But how many of y'all got pairs of Steph's? Love Steph Curry. Cool. He'd have changed the game when it comes to shooting threes that I hate people shooting, but he's Steph Curry. How many people actually own a pair of Steph Curry anything? Because it don't necessarily, it's a different type of cool. You got to have a different type of aura to really sell product. Think about even for Nike, their biggest shoes in recent time has always been damn near almost a rapper at this point. Travis Scott's, when Kanye was with them and stuff like that. Like those are the ones that kind of getting people to run and go do. Think about even for when they put out that flight. I want to say it looked like a flight positive, whatever it was. They had to attach it to Wale. They didn't even attach it to a basketball player. So again, like I said, that is something to kind of think about with the Nikes, with that situation and that conversational piece. What else is going on in the world? I do want to do this real quick.
Today is the day they whitewash Martin Luther King. Republicans gonna be quoting them and shit. Like, boy, you know you was trying to kill his ass, attacking him with dogs. This was probably you. You know how you can tell how much they really care about Martin Luther King? By how much investment they put into any street called Martin Luther King. It is fucked up on King Drive everywhere. It's no dreams around that bitch. Whole block is on King Drive, Miami, Baltimore. I read this comprehensive biography on Martin Luther King last year called King, A Life. And it put a lot of things in perspective. His nonviolent philosophy was not pacifist. It was strategic, revolutionary action that deliberately wielded the media against the state. He made sure the news cameras saw them getting their ass beat, unarmed, not resistant, to make it impossible to deny the savagery of America. And the state did not love him. He was like public enemy number one. He was considered a radical extremist. J. Edgar Hoover, head of the FBI, called him the most dangerous Negro. COINTELPRO was on his ass. They exposed all of his, then mailed him a letter telling him to kill himself. And everyone, many black people, white people, liberals, etc., turned on him when he went anti-war, anti-Vietnam War, anti-capitalism. And when he shifted from the civil rights movement to a poor people's campaign, because what he understood is that we face a class struggle. And when poor white people, poor black people, poor Latinos, etc., combine, that's the absolute greatest threat. Rest in peace to OG, of course, but y'all did not love that man 60 years ago, man. Stay on that side. Hey, come on, man. I was wearing a shirt on the airplane, and this white dude was like, "Nice shirt, Mike Tyson."
No way. Mike Tyson, stop, dog.
Today is the day that...
Shout out to Vic Mensa. And the reason why I just love the way he is rebranding himself on social media. And I kind of can tie that into, because these two kind of came around the same time. Both of them kind of had events in their name. Vince Staples' show did get canceled on Netflix. And I do see a lot of people kind of on fence about the conversation, because it's like everybody love Vince Staples. But if we just being honest, that season 2 was kind of mid. And I seen people sitting there saying, oh, well, Netflix didn't do a great job at promoting it. Man, Netflix don't do a crazy job at promoting nothing. Netflix just puts it out there so people can see it. And if the show is popular enough, guess what eventually will happen? People will promote it. Like, think about it. I come on here every week and we talk about His and Hers. We talk about The Neighborhood, Perfect Neighbor. We talk about, it's so many random shows that people watch on Netflix, and it promotes itself. Like, Netflix didn't do a crazy campaign for The Perfect Neighbor. I believe The Perfect Neighbor is nominated for an Oscar. That's a documentary joint that's literally shot on a police body cam. So for it to be able to sit here and get nominated for an Oscar, and for people to get so outraged and talk about it, think about how big His and Hers is. Where was the crazy Netflix rollout? There wasn't one. Realistically, it was just people word of mouth via social media. I think Vince Staples, yes, all the Joe Buttons and the Breakfast Club and all of these people can love Vince Staples, but that show, that second season, bro, it was mid. If we just being honest, it didn't serve the appetite for realistically probably what black people just actually like. Like, it was cool. Like, it was weird. I'm just watching it realistically because it's Vince Staples, and the show, the episodes wasn't even that long. So to see people, like, I was listening to Rosenberg and Ebro and them, and Rosenberg, like he loved Vince Staples. Like, music wise, I hadn't seen him support him before, so I know he really got love for him. Same way with Joe Button and them. 90% of the room didn't even finish the season. You talking about episodes was, I believe, how many episodes? I want to say it might have been like 8 episodes, if that, maybe 8 or 6, 25 minutes of show, and you didn't finish it. And think about it, if you really listen to Joe Budden, them Joe, bro, you talking about they be on series, and I seen not Ice, but Ish even giving pushback, like, we did a bad job because you'll come on here and talk for hours long about other shows But Vince is your man. He could come up on the show, but people didn't talk hours about the Vince Staples show, especially season 2, because season 2, it was just, if we being honest, it was lackluster. Like, it was cool. Like, if you like Vince Staples, you like Vince Staples, but that doesn't mean that this show was like, oh my God, I gotta watch this show. It just wasn't. It really wasn't one of those shows where I had to watch it. I had to get on Threads or Twitter, wherever you go via social media, to share your love for a show. You can still love Vince Staples, but I think even for somebody like Vince, I'm gonna tell you something that I never see Vince do bad at. I never see him do a bad podcast episode. I can see Vince in a room with 5 random people. I watched it. It was him, Van Lathan, and like 5 random white dudes. I didn't know who none of these people was, but Vince is so entertaining, so clever, so wordy. He will keep your attention, and you'll watch Vince Staples. So I think realistically, and I understand that some people try to drag their feet, don't really want to do a podcast because maybe you didn't slighted podcast before, or you feel like you too big for one. He should realistically do a podcast. Hey, even if you want to stay on Netflix and stay in bed with them, do a podcast on Netflix. But I think that's, to me, that is where Vince Staples do. Think about, the crazy thing is, think about Vince Staples. Think about more people were clipping up and talking about that interview he did with Z-Way than they actually did about the show. And he was on there to promote the show. So that's my point of where it's just like, all right, the show just probably really wasn't it. And you probably realistically need to figure out, a safer way to, not even a safer way, just a better way to kind of show your actual talent and your skill level. And I think for Vince Staples, realistically, it probably should be a podcast. Like, cool, the show didn't work. It may have been a little bit too, I don't want to say a little bit too white, a little too nerdy. And when I say that, I mean like the scientific part to it, like where it was like a little just too unrealistic. I think black people like stuff that's a little bit, I can't even say that because, bro, I love Welcome to Derry. So again, like I said, I like Vince Staples. The show probably just, that second season was super mid, and which is, we gotta call a spade a spade. I can't give you even no longer think piece about it, because it ain't no long think piece to even give to it. That's just honestly what it was. Let me play this clip of Method Man.
Like, fuck it, why not? I don't think I matured until I was 40. And
That's fair.
I'm not a New Year's resolution guy, but it was just one of these times where I was feeling like I needed something, a guide or some type of goal to shoot for. And I made these New Year's resolutions. 1, get your taxes right. 2, get your GED, some type of diploma, because my kids were sophomores junior. Yeah, they were juniors. They were going to graduate the next year. The 3rd was fitness. I knocked all of them out of the park. Now, the thing about the GED thing was I hadn't been in school in 15 years. So my loved one had taken the test prior to that. She kind of gave me the lowdown on what the test looks like. Essay. All right, I'll look up how to write an essay. Looked up how to write an essay. The math, you're going to need to use this calculator. Well, I don't want to use the calculator. That shit looked too difficult. So I get there to take the test. Long story short, I get there to take the test. This is a test that my loved one failed because of the math part. I passed that motherfucker the first time. I was so proud of myself. It's like, yeah, I'm still smart. Smart. My loved one is my wife, by the way.
I knew
I call her my loved one.
I made that still be important to you.
Self-awareness, I guess. You like to see yourself through your children, you know, and you're always questioning whether you're doing the right thing by them or if you're the right role model, even sometimes the right fit. And then it's just a lot of self-motivation. You want different. If you want different for yourself, you gotta do different for yourself. It's more or less like, if I can't control anything in this world, I can control my ways and my actions. So I'll start there. And I just followed that blueprint.
It's like,
first off, I want to give a huge shout out to the Pivot, Ryan Clark, Channing Crowder, Fred Taylor, because I don't know what it is about the Pivot, but they make such a comfortable space for men to come on there. And this is not just a one-off. Like I've seen men, I've seen women, and all of them be 90% of them be professional athletes, from Tasha Cloud. I even seen Rosenberg. He was on there, where you see people get onto the Pivot and they always have these super vulnerable moments and have these real human conversations and kind of allow people to see a different side of them, or a side that you may have thought was there, but you didn't realistically know how to even realistically really be able to communicate it or see via through it. Like with Method Man, when he's saying like, when you think of Method Man or even think about Method Man's career, how Method Man has cleaned himself up years later, it makes a lot of sense. But you wouldn't sit here and think like, what do we got to go back to school for? Like, you would have never thought, because that's not something he broadcasts like he do with his fitness stuff. So him to even be able to go in there and have that conversation and allow people to know, like, I may look like I'm super well put together now at 50, but I probably didn't really have it all together even when I was 40. So just for him to have that, and it kind of just for somebody who are in their early 40s and you're still trying to figure life out and find other ways to kind of better yourself, to hear somebody like Method Man where people can see how well successful he is even as an actor now, or even just how much women just love Method Man. And of course, let's be clear. I mean, I'm old enough to know women love Method Man when it was him and Mary J. Blige out doing that video, and they were super gone off of Method Man. Or anytime a Wu-Tang conversation came up and it was a woman around, their love for Method Man, but to still see him sharpening himself up as a man and making himself a better man 5 decades later, that is the awesome thing to do. And just to even be able to hear and listen to him sit here and say that again, like I said, shout out to the Pivot for just that space. Like, I don't know what it is about that room when they had these conversations, but they just do an amazing job at having people have vulnerable adult human conversations. So again, like I said, shout outs to Ryan Clark and them. And then real quick, I do want to sit here and shout outs to because we talk about the Pivot, and of course, realistically, the Pivot started originally was I Am Athlete with Brandon Marshall, and of course they didn't have their split. And everybody, if you follow any of them, you have heard the pieces and the reasons why they split up. And to kind of see Brandon Marshall kind of just still trying to really figure it out and get his foot wet, I do like the fact that he is on the podcast. I believe it's called The White House with Michael Irvin, and that's on Netflix. I believe their first episode was with Michael Beasley. It's just so funny to see how things play out, because I think Brandon Marshall kind of realistically wanted that show to kind of go the way the Pivot is right now. Like, he wanted to have, and let's be clear, they had their moments where they did have those same type of vulnerable conversations where people were getting emotional on that show. And Brandon Marshall was one of the people at the forefront of just like the mental health thing for athletes, because he had his own battles with mental health. But it's just kind of funny to watch how the Pivot still kind of played out as, like, if you really was day one watching I Am Athlete, you kind of get to see what the Pivot is becoming, and seeing Ryan Clark kind of do the more, I guess I almost want to say the more humble version of what Brandon Marshall was trying to do. So again, like I said, that was just something I just wanted to put out there to the world. What else was going on in the world? I do want to have these Let's go to the DMV area real quick. I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I am a little bit realistically disappointed in how many of y'all was just running to the grocery store acting crazy. And when you see people, and I'm glad, like, when you see other people kind of feel and think the same way you think, because it make you sit here and be like, damn, y'all didn't have no food in the house already. Like, what? And again, maybe it's dependent on how you eat or how long you thought you was gonna be in the house for. But that to me is kind of almost like some super like big back behavior. Because I mean, if you're somebody who you really eating like healthy, it's like you. All right, maybe you needed to go grab some because you keeping fresh vegetables and fruits in the house on a consistent basis. I kind of can get it. Like, all right, I'm about to be in the house for like 3 days. Let me go here to the grocery store. But if you're somebody who just don't care, you eating whatever the case may be, and you just kind of on your big back behavior, what's the purpose of just running? You don't have food already in the joint. Like, that to me is a little bit alarming. But again, I watch people on social media and see how many people still, just because y'all go gigging like, hey, I'm about to go to the restaurant until it starts snowing, I'm going to the club. And you can kind of see that's how a lot of people just realistically live on their every day-to-day basis, because for you to have to go to the grocery store and run, and again, because the crazy thing is everybody just new year, new me, but you kind of literally, because of this snowstorm, literally throwing out the new year, new me whole situation, because you just off the, oh, I'm about to be in the house, I'm about to get snacks. It's like, bro, you're gonna let 2 or 3 days completely, because when you in, let's be clear, if you on a real strict diet and you're really trying to hold yourself accountable, you kind of don't want the food in the house at all, because man, it's just the human nature. If it's there, you're gonna eat it. If you see it, it's a lot harder to not eat a cake or a pie. Think about during the holidays. And that's why holidays kind of really throw a lot of people off. Even when you see fitness influencers, that's all where they'll sit here and say, like, don't be so hard on yourself, because realistically, it's so hard to sit here, with your whole family, and it's pies and it's cakes and it's everything you normally love to have. Like, man, give me a piece of diabetes. And it's that, like, it's just there, dog. It's hard to turn some of that stuff away. And it's hard not to eat some of that stuff. So for you to sit here and say, okay, it's gonna snow, you may be in the house for, let's say, at the max 3 days. You want to realistically, because most people don't have that discipline. You know you don't have the discipline, because if you went into the grocery store, waited in them super long lines to put in a bunch of junk food in your cart, guess what you're going to do? You ain't going to waste your money, because you waited in line for that. You waited in line and you spent your bread. So guess what you're going to do? You're going to eat every last one of them cupcakes. You're going to drink all that liquor, and then come guess what? Because it's gonna take you a couple days to get back into the rush. The real gym people, they'll be there as soon as the roads open and they can get to the gym safely. They'll be there. But for those people who kind of faking it until you make it type of situation, you ain't probably even gonna see the gym until next week. And realistically, you're gonna eat everything that you bought. You're gonna drink all the liquor you drunk. So now you done probably pushed yourself back damn near realistically like 2 months. Just off of 3 days. Like 3 days could literally push you back 2 months on your fitness journey because now you're gonna sit here and gotta eat and gotta sit here and try to detox your body for sitting in the house all the time. But I do want to play a clip of some couple people I've seen in the DMV area just talking about how crazy the grocery stores actually was. Where we at with it? Where this lady at? TikTok. Big back.
Is a particular brand of person that exists in the DMV that when we get the idea of like snow or some sort of impeding flurry, sleet, that they literally lose their mind. It's less about me going to the store for literally gluten-free bagels for the house and there being absolutely none, like literally shelves are cleared, and more about the resounding panic that ensues when at most we will be in a house for 48 to 72 hours. And then the grocery store would still be open. Additionally, your family of 4 does not need 2 cartons of eggs for 3 days. And I can't help but think about how warped our society constantly is, because if we were more collectivistic, as we should be, just as human beings, Homo sapiens, we would not be out here being like, let me grab the last of this so that I make sure I have it, versus a 48 pack of carton of eggs.
Real quick, even just when we're just talking about maybe the egg part, I'll leave out because I don't eat eggs, so I don't care. But just when it comes to the bread, I'm just talking about for the people, everybody who was New Year, knew me. I'm trying to work out, get my body right. Why are you racking up on all that bread? Like, that's probably the worst thing to eat. Again, that's what maybe I be confused because y'all be confusing me a little bit when I look at you on social media and you telling me you're trying to get in shape. Because I'm not sitting here really trying to judge you because I get crazy with the candy. But other stuff, it's not my forte. So to sit here and see people run up and grab a bunch of bread and hamburgers and hot dogs, I'm like, oh, you just canceling that summer body for 2026 off the rip, because there's no way in hell you about to be in the house locked up and you sitting here telling me you ain't about to eat all that bread you just bought. And it's probably just you and maybe 2 or 3 kids. You about to go super crazy and your back about to be even wider than it was before the shutdown. Before the snow.
Could feed my 2 neighbors on each side of me for the next 3 days. I cannot help but to think of it like that. And, maybe I'm that Howard girl that every time we get into the bathroom, we argue about slavery. I'm going to do the same thing about collectivism and individualism in a society too. The way y'all was acting in them stores, and I get it, right? We had bad winters, 2020, what was it, 2010, 2016, Snowmageddon. People was not running out of food though. Like, I feel like that was not the thing. Like, oh my God, there was no food for anybody to have. I don't think that was the case. It was just trying to get your stuff out, your car out of the snow. Y'all are acting absolutely insane. Take a beat. Is everybody okay? We know they're not, but just pause. You do not need 3 pounds of chicken for 3 days.
Again, like I said, I do, when I just see those things, I do kind of always even think about it. It's like, again, I'm 41. So I guess my question is, in your lifetime, have you ever been in a storm or an occasion outside of the shutdown, when the world shut down? Have you ever been in a situation where you ran out of food actually? So when to see people panic like that, and again, maybe I'm just somebody a little bit different. My only default from never really getting crazy with the 6-pack action was outside when the world was shut down and you can just work out and run for 5 or however many hours a day. It'd just be like, bro, okay, with the candy, but it just be like, y'all just real life really just consistently just go super crazy and overdo everything. And I even seen oh man, where was this girl who had a crazy conspiracy theory when it came to the food? Damn. I literally just seen somebody sitting here talking about that, about the snow and eating too much. Damn. Nope. Maybe I was tripping. I thought I seen it. Maybe I didn't save it to myself. But again, like I said, I don't understand the super overdoing the just running out to the grocery store. But I do want to play a couple more of these. This is a young lady I follow here in the DMV, and I believe she work at Fox. I want to say she work at Fox News.
Hey guys, listen, we are in Northeast DC right now where several cars are being towed and getting heavy fine tickets. The mayor issued a snow emergency. And if you take a look here behind me, you'll see signs like this where you're not allowed to park. Well, these two vehicles are getting towed right now.
Okay, so yesterday the mayor issued a snow declaration. And what comes along with that, at least from DPW's perspective, is it makes certain roadways where it's posted no parking zones for the duration of the emergency. So the reason that's a problem is because when we get snowfall, we want to make sure that we can plow from curb to curb so the access is as wide as possible for fire and EMS during the duration of the emergency. If you're parked here, we can't do that.
Several other cars up and down this road have been towed as well, and some have been relocated because they're not following the rules. And it's making it harder for crews to try to clean up and prepare for what's to come when it comes to weather. Now, if you're not following these rules, you'll see fines up to $250, and you can even face a $100 relocation fee. So please listen to what officials are telling you, or you'll have consequences.
Hey dog, you know how sick I would be if you sitting here and saying your car sit here and get towed. You know, you got to pay a $250 fine, and then you got to sit here and steal. Maybe if they tow your car, put it in a tow lot. Now you got to pay to get it out the tow lot. Yo, you know how sick I would be, and that's why shout out to people who, when they move to the DC area, they realistically kind of just don't even have no cars because when you watching with the street that she was on, I'm like, bro, why do y'all even just leave your car? I wouldn't even want to live nowhere where I got to park my car and leave it on like 8th Street. Like that to me is kind of insane. So again, I mean, if you ain't paying attention, God bless you, because you're gonna definitely sit here and have to pay some bread to get your car out of this situation. I guess let's go to Naomi Osaka. This was a huge conversation, and I guess even for me, real quick before I play that, I guess, man, I'm on the fence because we talked about this. What was this? A couple of weeks ago when we were sitting here talking about who was that? Coco Golf. When Coco Golf was sitting here, was basically asking to see more Americans at some of these tennis matches because realistically, when they doing like the the Australian Open and some of these other places in Europe or wherever they may be playing in some of these tournaments, it doesn't be as many Americans. And sure, of course, for somebody like Coco Golf, there realistically, and even for Naomi Osaka, you don't really see no black people. And that is, and again, I mean, of course, if you're passionate and you grow up and you want to play sports, but I guess it's kind of would be, I mean, you want to play tennis and tennis is the sport that you want to play, then I kind of get it. But I guess I would question some of the parents because it's like, you don't want to deter your kid from playing whatever sport they into, but if you are the parent and you kind of pushing your kid into a sport where you kind of know it's almost a little bit of backhanded racism into it, why push your kid into it a little bit? Like, again, I know that sounds kind of crazy, but when I'm watching just what Naomi Osaka had to go through in real time, and even seeing Coco Golf and seeing people even giving her pushback for saying why they don't come to the matches, and it's kind of like, damn. I mean, let's be clear, they're getting paid. Like, both of them, I'm talking about super paid. So if you like a parent and you like, yeah, I want my daughter to play a sport the way, of course, the WNBA ain't paying these kids, really, these women, nothing. So it's like tennis realistically is where their bag is because they make more money than any female boxer, basketball player. The female tennis athletes are the most paid female athletes, period. So I do kind of understand it when it comes to the money part, but I'm talking about like the mental space. Like Naomi Osaka literally just took herself out of this tournament after having this situation go along with this woman. So I do, like I said, it's a lot of clips that I can play from this situation. So I will play a few of them. I don't know who's the best or who's not, but I'll just play a couple of these people.
You can't guarantee anything in life except for death, taxes, and the fact that what I'm about to say is about to piss a lot of people the fuck off. I'm sick of the racist ass behavior in tennis. I'm sick of the microaggressive nature of the sport of tennis. I'm not saying this girl is racist, but you not gonna tell me, look, if it quacks like a duck, it looks like a duck, it waddles like a duck, it's not a mongoose. Y'all aren't about to fool me about what I saw with my own eyes. I'm sorry. And the way that my sisters and my brothers get treated in tennis, just something about it just doesn't sit right in my spirit. Like, and I have been sitting on this for a minute. I love the tennis girlies. I think the tennis girlies get treated better than any of the other female athletes, actually. They're the highest paid. I love them. But this shit still makes me mad. And I know Sablinka apologized. I didn't like it. Y'all been treating black girls like doodoo cheeks in tennis since the beginning of time, since Serena and them. Yet they keep beating you. They keep winning. So I'm not understanding the disconnect here. Like, where is the sportsmanship? Where's the respect? She was saying, come on, to herself. And it's not like she just started doing this. She does this all the time when she plays. And the ref, the umpire, whatever you want to call him, literally said, she didn't violate them. It's fine. It's cool. And you arguing with the ref. Like, what is wrong with you? Ooh, I'm finding it. The way Naomi acted, the way she ate her ass up in the post game, oh my God, it could never have been me. It could never have been me. Because what they see as disrespectful in the tennis world, ooh la la, if it were me. Oh, I understand tennis is a different type of sport. Okay, the rules are different. There's just a sprinkle of elitism on everything that goes on in tennis. And elitism smells like white supremacy to me. I'm not gonna lie. I'm at the US Open. I look to my left, I look to my right. No black people. No black people. In my video, on a hopeful note, more people of color are participating in tennis than ever in the USA. However, I better not see another black girl apologizing for her reaction to a microaggression on a fucking
and again, and this young lady does a lot of sports commentating via social media, and she goes to, like you said, she was at the U.S. Open when it was in New York, and I guess when she said that little part that she sit here and said, where it seems like with tennis, there's a lot of elitism with it, so it kind of just like, let's be clear, black people do kind of get into that a lot, and I kind of will understand why some parents would push their kids to sit here and go play tennis or do gymnastics or golf or some of these things, because it's like, hey, let me have my kid into a sport that kind of shapes their characteristics a little bit different from if I was letting them go play basketball and they got to go in the hood, because guess what you can't do? You can't not become an elite tennis player, probably outside of Serena and Venus. And I haven't seen that movie in so long, so I can't even remember if they actually practiced in the hood. They probably had to drive out a little bit 9 times out of 10, because there's not, I mean, in most hoods, especially if you live in a real hood, it ain't too many tennis courts. So again, when she's sitting here saying how you kind of already got to have bread damn near to play those sports, I kind of understand where if I'm a parent and I don't want my kid, maybe, and it may be a little bit different the more times go, because I feel like AAU at this point, basketball is kind of like, you got to have some bread or you got to be super good out the rip. And realistically, you probably won't know if your kid's super good until probably like the age of 10. So if you got them playing from 6 to 10 for those 4 years, you're going to have to spend some bread to move around doing that little AAU circuit, getting your kid a private training and all those other things. So again, all of that kind of goes hand in hand when it comes to the sports conversation. But that tennis thing, it just, again, I think anybody who pay attention to you watching from a distance, it just damn near bleeds out and scream racism. And it's like, why would I want to sign my kid up to have to deal with that? Because it's like, again, the payday is cool. So if you literally just doing anything, I always say this about for the money, for the clicks, the views, and the likes, then yeah, cool. Tennis will be the goal that you will sit here and put your kids through. But then mentally, bro, no, Naomi Osaka is tapped. If you go watch her, what's the joint that she got on Netflix, like you can see she has a lot of battles with mental illness. Not even, I don't want to sit here and say mental illness. I just want to say her mentality just gets challenged so much because of that sport is so damn near whitewashed, because you really don't have too many people you can kind of relate to. And again, and I watch a lot of women's sports, so you can see the difference between like that camaraderie between like women who play in the WNBA, because most of them probably come from very similar backgrounds or similar areas. You can see even just when it comes like the TikTok dancing, from when you watching the tennis girls, what's the young lady who just recently got like super popular because she had this same type of situation going on. I forgot her name, started with a T. I can't remember her first name and last name, started with a T. I can't think of her name right now off the top of my head, but she's kind of like a thicker woman. She looked good as hell, but she kind of went through that same thing, and I'm watching her try to like kind of do the TikTok thing and all that. You can just tell it's not really just a natural thing to her. It's like she kind of like forcing the dances, where it's like for some of the women who play basketball, like that kind of comes second nature to them, because they just kind of like, you probably just grew up a little bit different, where it's not as elite. You kind of in the hood, you kind of picking up, you know how to do all the things, you got a little bit more rhythm, you got a lot more swag. Like if you comparing it, think about, and this is going to sound crazy, but you kind of got to think about this when you're talking about the breakdown of like sports. Think about the swag towards like the women who play tennis and just whoever hopefully your top 5 favorite WNBA players are, if they are black women. Just think about their swag, the difference in just how they move and just how they even, just go watch their TikToks. When they even do this, they could be doing the same exact dance, and just look at just the swag behind the two is completely different. So it's kind of just like, I would ask as a parent, is it really worth putting your kid in tennis and kind of putting them mentally through all of that stuff just because, oh, the payout is better. That's just a conversation that I had. Like, and I feel like if you're watching it and paying attention enough, it's almost hard to deny some of these conversations.
Ain't it funny how when these tennis players are losing to a black woman, they want to crash out and play a victim like they're Claire Danes in a motherfucking limited series?
It's okay. You come on between points. Between first, yeah, you haven't got to go your other. So I can talk between points? Between first, yeah, can I go come on and talk? And split? You're not serving yet, so it's not even good.
Ain't it funny how you want to get up in a black woman's face like you throwing bows at a Walmart Black Friday sale, all because you know that she cannot match your energy because everybody's watching and is going to point fingers at her?
All right, my bad. She putting a lot of I guess her commentation realistically is a lot more driven off of social media, so it's a little bit too clipped up. Here we go, real quick. One more.
I think that Naomi Osaka's nonchalance needs to be studied. Bro. If you haven't caught up on action from last night at the Australian Open, this second round match between these two got a little spicy. And honestly, y'all know I love a petty queen, but I do want to preface this and say that Naomi Osaka has already apologized for some of these remarks. All right, so in the third set, Sorana Cirstea is serving and she gets upset that in between her serves, Naomi Osaka is celebrating.
And listen, real quick, and this may even sound a little bit off when I say this, bro. I cannot sit here and say none of these women's names that they be going back, and when any of these black women get into it with one of these white women, bro, they be having some of the absolute craziest last names and first names that you can't pronounce. Like, oh my God, they be killing me.
Saying, come on. She brings it up to the official. This is how the official responds.
It's okay. You come on between points. Between first, yeah, you haven't got to go your other.
She goes on to lose and then acts like a sore loser when she comes to the net. So in her post-match interview, this is what Naomi Osaka has to say.
What did it take to get through that one?
Apparently a lot of come-ons that she was angry about, but whatever. Like, she's a great player. I think this was her last Australian Open, so okay, sorry she was mad about it. She could have asked me, like, bro. I'm sorry.
And honestly, I'm not upset at it. Anytime you can work bruh into the conversation of a post-match interview in a Grand Slam, I mean, do it. Ultimately, you can see she's frustrated and confused and doesn't know what the appropriate response is, which is why I think she apologized after the match. I honestly would have stood 10 toes down on this because I don't think there was anything wrong with it necessarily. Like, if you're gonna make the scene, let's do it. Let's do the thing. Naomi did post this on Threads. Anyway, Naomi, we love you, girl. We love the outfit. We can't wait to see you in the next round. I think that Naomi Osaka's...
Again, like I said, I just, as a man, I ain't gonna hold y'all. Just as me personally, if I was a parent, there's no way in hell I'm signing my kid up for that. I get it. Cool. It's a payout. Like, again, Coco Gauff, probably, I want to say Coco Gauff for 2025 was the most paid female athlete. Yeah, that bag is crazy, but just that mental piece, like, bro, I've seen too many videos of Coco Gauff and Naomi Osaka both crying after a match, having to apologize, having to overanalyze themselves. I don't necessarily know if that bag realistically is necessary going through everything that they got to go through mentally just to sit here and say, oh, I'm the greatest tennis player, or I'm this, that, and the third. And it's kind of just like, it just seems extremely mentally draining. And some people may say that's like that about all sports, but I just don't see it. And even just the way, like, when it comes to just like even some of like the white women that they going against, and I'm thinking about basketball in my brain right now. I'm thinking about the WNBA, and like for somebody like Marina Mayberry, like she's super chirpy, I'm talking about, like she literally just had a altercation go viral, and it was her and Courtney Williams from the Stud Buzz, and they was playing in Unravel, and they kind of got into it. Like Marina is such like a swaggy, spicy white, where it's like you don't never have to explain to her or apologize to her for getting it popping with her. Where these women sitting here, I gotta complain to you because I'm putting belt to ass, like that to me is kind of crazy. So that's what I'm saying like just that mental piece, like that's the same steel. Like Courtney Williams, super stud, but everybody, I'm sure if you watch social media or watch sports, you know who Courtney Williams is this time, or you've heard of the stud bud. So for her and Marina to have that back and forth little chippy little moment, and then I'm sitting here watching this, that's the difference where it's like, yeah, tennis is a payday, but dog, I don't want to mentally sit here and kill my kid for some bread. That's basically damn near what it feels like when I'm watching, anytime I'm watching an altercation go, or even after Coco Gauff or Naomi Osaka win, why the fuck are they have to sit here and cry? Like that to me, I'm cool though. I ain't gonna hold you. Like it ain't nowhere in hell. I do kind of, I guess, was getting into hip hop a little bit. I seen Fat Joe. Fat Joe had a clip that kind of literally just seemed like it was about to go viral in like 2 seconds before I started to record. And he was talking about Fetty Wap. And I totally agree with this take. It was kind of like, bro, Fetty Wap had, so, I mean, of course, and I think most people, even before Fetty Wap eventually end up getting locked up, his last conversation, his last interview before he got locked up was with DJ Academics. And he was kind of explaining to people how he went bad with the money situation. But it was kind of crazy when you look at it, where it's like everybody always say like, damn, Fetty Wap had a crazy run. And then it was kind of like, he went to like, damn, why the hell is Fetty Wap out here selling drugs?
He put out 4 number ones in America, not the fake number ones. Not one, not just urban, rhythmic pop. He put out 4. Why was he allegedly selling drugs? I just don't understand. With a guy with 4 number ones on a crackhead day, you can make 25,000. I used to tell Remy all the time. I said, yo, Remy, we could make 5,000 a show. I'm telling you, at the lowest budget, I said we could make 5,000 a show and do 4 or 5 a week, 25,000 a week. It's the best life in the world.
And you know what's so crazy? I get, and that's something for people who maybe don't know, even like for Plies, that was one of the things that kind of, and of course, not the street stuff with Plies, but it's just like the budgeting on your pricing, like how you price you can easily price yourself out of the music business, because like when Plies was scorching high, I think Plies went up and got to like 80 to 100 bands. When most realistically, when Plies first got started and he was getting, just bubbling, and of course, that's when your manager knows street dudes and the street promoters trying to, clean their money up or something. So when you at that little 10, 15, even if you kind of teeter in the 20 racks, most street dudes, if they was promoting, they can kind of fundle the 20 bands. But at 10 and 15, that's the safe number for them. So then when you kind of go up and you get too crazy with the price, that's when you'll kind of sit here and think about if we just think about what I'm saying real quick. Let me slow down a little bit. Think about Boosie and think about Plies. On paper, Plies got way more hit records than Boosie. But Boosie still do shows. Plies be on his fucking phone in the car talking. But realistically, Boosie always, because Boosie realistically is a real street dude, he always kept his price respectable so Boosie can consistently stay booked up and stay busy his whole entire career. I don't even know the last hot Boosie song that Boosie has had, but Boosie has still been consistently. Think about all the rappers who have went to jail, came out, went home, whatever the case may be, from Gucci Mane, Bobby Shmurda, Gunna, Young Thug. Think about all of them. Boosie probably nowhere near hot as none of them. Realistically, it depends on who you ask, probably never even had songs big as any of them. But Boosie, if you go to his page or if you follow any people who live in the South, Boosie literally stays booked up from Thursday to Sunday, damn near every week of the whole entire year. So for him to consistently stay booked, is you keep your price at a decent pace. So even for what Fat Joe was just saying, for Fetty Wap to have such a crazy catalog, that little 4-hit run, not little, huge 4-hit run, you should never had to go to the point where you had to go sell drugs. But 9 times out of 10, Fetty Wap probably started charting. And that's one of the worst things that happen to a lot of these rappers when it comes to festivals. And I feel like Fetty Wap kind of already, like, pretty much, no disrespect, but kind of was already washed up by the time festivals became a thing. But you will even see for a lot of these newer acts, you get a taste of that festival money, you don't want to go back to doing the chitlin circuit. You don't want to go back to working smaller clubs or kind of big clubs and really putting in the groundwork. But what Fat Joe was sitting here saying is, like, on a bad day, like if my career gets super low, I can go all the way down to 5,000. Charging 5,000 a show and still do 4 shows a week, like you just said, that's 25 bands. So for that to be sitting here and for that to be said, it's like, why somebody didn't tell Fetty Wap to come down on the number and just grind it out. But again, I think it just shows that a lot of rappers be wanting the easy money and don't really want to put in the work. Because it's like, even for Fetty Wap right now, I don't necessarily know if he's going to get back. I see people posting the pictures and he did the little big dude. And shout out to Ice Spice. I'm not going to lie. She low-key got her little sneaky hit. It's not something that people not going to come out, like most men ain't going to come out and sit here and say how fire that song is. Like it's super catchy and stupid. But it's that song off the SpongeBob Jones. Big guy. big dude. But anyway, again, I think realistically for somebody like Fetty Wap, because he didn't have no real story attached to his music, I think it's a lot harder to become relevant again as a rapper if you don't have a story attached to your music. Because let's think about for somebody like Bobby Shmurda. Bobby Shmurda, think about how big Hot Nigga was. Even for computers and Bobby, and like he never, because none of those songs had an attachment to the person. It was just a hot song. No, people didn't have a real connection to you. And we can get into that in a second with the NBA YoungBoy and how some kids feel. And I was so surprised to see how many kids was upset with the NBA YoungBoy interview, but we'll get into that in a second. But they don't have no real attachment. Like nobody, what's your attachment to Fetty Wap? Yeah, I like those songs. Those songs were super catchy. But Fetty Wap don't have songs like somebody like a Rod Wave. Like if I'm super sad or I'm depressed and I'm trying to just get over life or heartbreak, what's the Fetty Wap song you gonna cut on? And those are the artists who eventually can, like, you can, like Fetty, like Rod Wave could take a break for 5 years, come back, and people, his fans will still be waiting for new Rod Wave music. Same way with Boosie. Boosie, like people who are real Boosie fans, he don't have to have songs as big as Plies. His songs is more relatable than Plies. So when Boosie, then that's enough of a reason why you can probably go to a Boosie show or a Jeezy show. And you'll see niggas in their 50s at a Jeezy or at a Boosie show, because those niggas was really going through something in real life at those times when some of those songs was at their peak and these rappers was at the peak of their career. And to be able to consistently lock in with them, build a real core for audience, I don't think Fetty Wap has a core audience. And I don't necessarily know that Fetty Wap, like, I don't think Fetty Wap can make another run like that. I could be wrong, and I'm cool, and I hope I am wrong, but I just don't see it coming because I just don't feel no real connection to Fetty Wap's music. He had hit records, but there's no real connection to those hit records besides, hey, they just hit records. I mean, you can say that, like, I can even go down south, someone like Travis Porter. Think about how big Travis Porter, make it rain, make it rain, I'ma make it rain. Like, for Travis Porter had endless big hits. No connection, though. After that song gets dated, you don't have no reason to cut them back on. If I told you right now, when Travis Porter was at the peak of their career, I told you that nobody wouldn't think twice about them 10 years from now. When the last time you cut on a Travis Porter song? Roscoe Dash. All the way. Matter of fact, they was on the song together. All the way turned up. When the last time you cut on Roscoe Dash? Roscoe Dash is on No Hands. Even think about for Walker. Like, Walker kind of just, he may be a little bit different because he was like, people kind of like, just like Walker. But think about Roscoe Dash. Matter of fact, perfect example. 3 people on that song on No Hands. It's Wale, it's Waka Flocka, and it's Roscoe Dash. The most relevant person musically is the person whose music is most relatable out of those 3. Big as that song, I think that song went like 10 times platinum, so it's a diamond hit record. The most relevant person probably at that, or there wasn't, like, think about, even when that song came out, Wale just got, I want to say he just got dropped from Interscope. Waka Flocka was scorching hot. Roscoe Dash was on fire. Wale realistically had no business being on that song. But today, however many years later, it probably at least got to be 10 years later, maybe even longer than that, Wale is more relevant than the 2 bigger artists with, realistically at that time, way bigger motion, way bigger songs. Why? Because Wale's music is way more relatable. Wale now and later into, I don't even know if Wale 40 yet, but in his late 30s, his music is his most relatable because he's talking about stuff that other people, his age group, can actually relate to now. Think about, because that was one of the biggest disconnects for somebody like Wale early in his career. You couldn't realistically, like, people for his age, he was rapping more about like sneakers and clothes, and people just couldn't really relate to it. Like, people may like it, some people could relate to it, but they couldn't relate to it as much as his last project. I can argue that Wale's last project, Everything Is a Lot, is his most relatable project to people his age group, because he's talking about he's talking about co-parenting, talking about being a dad, talking about why he's not married and he should be married. Every time he see his mom, she kind of pressing him like, hey, when you gonna get married? These things are stuff that people in their late 30s, early 40s can relate to. And those are the people who are helping. And that's why if you see the conversation, like, yeah, number-wise, you may not see, Wale didn't sell 100 or 200,000 in the first week, but how long that conversation stayed around that album, and you'll even still hear people sit here and say, man, we got to keep talking about that Wale album because you don't want good music like that to just come and go. Talking about relatability. I don't think Fetty Wap has no relatability to his music, and that's why he'll come home, he'll put out songs, he'll do cool little things that go viral, he'll go back and forth with his baby moms, but nobody is realistically checking for a new Fetty Wap song. And that's just me being honest. Real quick, while we still kind of on music, I do want to give a huge shout out to Wiz Khalifa, because Wiz Khalifa is somebody that I'm kind of really don't be checking for like that. Man, I listened to that new Wiz project. I believe it's 8 songs on there. Out of them 8, he probably at least got 5 songs you want to add to your gym playlist. I'm talking about, when I talk about music, I talk about music that I literally just listen to in the gym, because I really don't listen to music outside of the gym. So when I'm sitting here talking and bigging up certain songs, just know I'm bigging it up because I'm listening to it in the gym. And that new Wiz Khalifa got a lot of heat on it. And for people who, if you was on live mixtape when Wiz put out Cabin Fever, this is the closest you will ever get to Cabin Fever. And most people can argue, if you really like a Wiz fan, or you kind of just around again that live mixtape, that Piff era, Cabin Fever probably is Wiz Khalifa's best project after Cushion on Shoes. And I don't even necessarily, I think if you got half decent taste in music, I don't even think that's up for debate. So for that to say it make you feel like that Cabin Fever, I could probably argue realistically this may be Wiz's best project in like 10 years. But I mean, I'm not a huge Wiz Khalifa fan, so I could be wrong. And I'm not mad if I am wrong with that one. Let's get Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty.
What's good? It's your boy B-Nuts by the bag, and some breaking news on the Pooh Shiesty Gucci Mane situation. I hollered at some of my partners, man, down there in Dallas, and they told me, man, look, this was not no robbery. This was not about no contract. Gucci Mane and Pooh Shiesty was actually in the studio, and there was some people that was with Pooh Shiesty that confronted Gucci Mane about Big Scar and that situation in the funeral and the jewelry that he wanted returned. And from there, it escalated and an altercation broke out, and Gucci Mane started throwing those hands. And in the midst of Gucci Mane throwing them hands, his watch and his ring came off. It makes sense. That's why you don't hear about his chain getting snatched, because the only things that came off was on his fist. And then Gucci Mane yelled to a security, "Hey man, my jewelry's gone." Security upped, the other side upped, and that's what happened. It had nothing to do with a contract. These internet people are lying and on some Fed shit.
You know what's so crazy about that? That story to me sounds way more believable and more realistic than any of the other stories you heard. Because I mean, of course, there were stories that Pooh Shiesty ran down on Gucci and they put straps up on him to get out of the contract. But if you listen to Pooh Shiesty when he's been talking, I believe when he was on the stream with the dude, I want to say, is the dude Ben? I want to say I believe he's from Memphis, Ben or whatever his name is. I believe he's also from Memphis. So when they was having that conversation and Pooh Shiesty was talking about, you know, like being locked up and sitting here and wasn't, or was he? I mean, he might have even been on $1 million worth of game. I can't remember, but he was talking about being locked up when Big Scar passed, and him and Big Scar kind of, you know, they wasn't on same page as they probably was before Pooh Shiesty got locked up. So that death kind of hurt him a little bit more. So I can kind of imagine Pooh Shiesty, probably some of his real close friends, this is the first time they'd have probably been around Gucci, because even if you listen to Big 30 music or you paid attention to some of Big 30's tweets when Pooh Shiesty was locked up, he kind of was sitting here saying like how people switched up on him and his men and really ain't showing him the same type of love when Pooh Shiesty was out. So I'm sure for a lot of people who were close to Big Scar or close to Pooh Shiesty, this may be realistically the first time they even actually been face to face in the same room with Gucci. So I'm sure some, especially if you a younger nigga and you kind of really on your type of timing, or you may got a little bit of liquor or a little bit of weed or something in your system, you feeling some type of way, you see Gucci for the first time, somebody 9 times out of 10 would say something to him, and it makes it believable. And let's be clear, Gucci Mane ain't no small dude. So I can imagine if some of these rappers is a little bit smaller, you sitting here jumping out there with Gucci, I can imagine things probably got a little bit physical. Realistically, just good thing that stuff didn't go a little bit more left than a couple punches being thrown. And maybe that's one of the reasons why neither one of them have came out and said anything about it, and you haven't even heard no real conversation about it. It's kind of just almost like it happened and then it kind of just went away, and it's a little bit mum's the word to that situation. Oh, listen, let's go. Can we go real quick? Because while we talking about hip hop, can we go Kid Cudi versus Jim Jones? And I got the clip of Jim Jones actually when he said this. Yeah, I do, and I got Kid Cudi response. I do. Before I play both of them, I just want to sit here and say, I think two things could be true. I think Kid Cudi, I mean, listen, I'm not a huge Kid Cudi fan, and backpack rappers really ain't my thing for real. Like, that's just never been my bag. So Kid Cudi could have had a career that was already flourishing before Jim Jones jumped on day and night. But for people, again, who somebody like really into mixtapes and really like street rappers and more into that type of music, the first time I ever heard Day and Night, if I'm being honest, was Jim Jones. I thought it was a Jim Jones song. I didn't realize it was a Jim Jones song probably until like months or maybe even a year later. I'm like, oh, Jim Jones, this was a remix. This wasn't Jim Jones didn't originally. This ain't a Jim Jones song. For people who didn't know, but I'm sure for somebody like Kid Cudi, or especially Kid Cudi has a ridiculous type of fan base, they ain't trying to hear none of that. They don't believe that. But I think, again, one thing that I kind of hate about the internet it makes everybody act like everybody music experience is the same. It's not going to be the same for everybody. And that is one of the things that I kind of hope, and you see for a little bit, it seemed like music was going a little bit more back regional, which I hope that it continuously does, because realistically, everybody don't relate to music the same, because everybody don't have the same type of, we all didn't grow up the same. We ain't all from the same neighborhood. We not all from the same city. We all don't even like the same sports teams or sports players. So music is not supposed to resonate to us the same. So for somebody like myself, the first time I've heard of Kid Cudi, I was thinking, oh, that's the song that Jim Jones did. I didn't know who Kid Cudi was, never heard of him. So you can't discredit Jim Jones for what he's saying. It may sound arrogant, and of course, because way people feel about Jim Jones now, and I don't know what Jim Jones did to y'all niggas to be having y'all panties in a bunch, to feel like y'all always got to sit here and discredit everything he's kind of highlighting. I mean, he's telling his truth, I'm sure, for his audience. Let's be clear. I live in the DMV area. I've thrown parties before. One of the first big bags that I ever had to pay an artist to come do a show was Jim Jones in 2006, when Ballin' was scorching on fire. And you can get on YouTube and you can Google it, put in TCB and Jim Jones. Jim Jones charges $10,000 for that show. I was fresh out of high school at that time too. So yeah, I can't, like, the Kid Cudi thing wasn't a thing for me. Like, Jim Jones and Dipset was a thing. Like, if you from the DMV area, you know how big Dipset was when Dipset was Dipset. Like, they had neighborhoods that was calling themselves Purple City Bird Gang, and niggas, the whole uptown was dressing like Dipset. Like, niggas wasn't thinking about Kid Cudi. Every city ain't on that super, and I hate that the internet, like, where is the person on the internet to sit here and be like, bro, everybody wasn't on that super backpack shit. Like, and I guess I could tie this into DMV shit to make it a little bit more understandable. No, Wale is probably one of the greatest, when you're talking about like underground backpack type of rappers, like what his core of it is on the blog era. No, Wale never used to really get loved and championed in the DMV area like he do right now. Like today he does, but previously, leading up before this last album, people didn't champion him as much. You'll hear people sit here and big up Shy Glizzy and Fat Trail more. Think about it. For some people out of town who may be seeing this clip or hearing this video, you be like, who the hell is Shy Glizzy? Who the hell is Fat Trail? Or you know Shy Glizzy from something completely other. It's not even a hit record or nothing. But if you ask people, peak Shy Glizzy, peak Fat Trail, both of them at one point in time was more popular than Wale. For Wale, think about To the World, Wale got hit records, Grammy nominated. Again, we just talked about him being on No Hands. Neither one of those local rappers have a song nowhere near close to No Hands. But again, for people locally, because that's the type of music that we like, is more street oriented. We like street shit. So that just kind of lets you know, okay, if Jim Jones in here saying, well, I introduced people to Kid Cudi, nobody never heard Day and Night to me. Do you think people who literally piss, shit, breathe the same air as Wale, more listened and more championed Shy Glizzy and Fat Trail, you think that niggas heard Day and Night before Jim Jones? Like, be serious. And I think that's sometimes where you got to have somebody middleman that conversation. And that to me was the easiest way for me to explain it.
know you remix some of them songs. We don't on the radio. I'm like, this nigga got remix this right here. Night in, what it was, Day and Night, Day and Night.
That was one of the biggest.
Nigga, you remixed that shit. I didn't know that shit.
That's how y'all know Kid Cudi. You wouldn't have never known Kid Cudi if I didn't remix the record in New York City. I made that the biggest record in New York City. It wasn't Kid Cudi. Nobody knew who Kid Cudi was. Kid Cudi became about because he had video directors that I wanted them to do a video, and I asked them to show me a video they did before, and they showed me this kid on top of a roof with a record called Day and Night. Like, he worked in the store under the label. There's nobody. I was like, oh, yo, did this? I said, I like the record. Get the beat of the record. I want to do a remix. If you give me the beat of the record, I'll let y'all shoot my video. These kids was trying to shoot a video for free for me. Oh, like, I got the beat. I told them they went crazy. You wanted to do it. I got the beat. I shot the video to the beat, and I never even put the shit out. They put it up on YouTube. They ripped it off of YouTube, and it became the biggest record in New York City. And that's how Kid Cudi became an artist. They ended up giving him a big deal off of Jim Jones' back. If I'm lying, I'm flying.
Nah, nigga, we ain't know none of that.
We born to die.
So again, like, and the crazy thing is, people just, I mean, Kid Cudi felt the way.
First off, we love Jim Jones, right? Like, I grew up on Jimmy. Like, he's the homie. I met him when I was coming up. He was cool, right? Jimmy, I'm gonna address you directly, my nigga. You talking about how you are responsible for my success is a lie. You need to stop lying to people. You get on your little podcast and you start gossiping and talking shit, and everybody on your podcast don't know the truth. So they all agreeing with you. But if you look under the comments under that post, you'll see people are letting you know what time it is. Day and Night was already a hit record before you touched it, my nigga. I put it on my MySpace, it blew up. Okay? I had an entire mixtape. I was on my way. Motown was courting me. Kanye wanted to sign me. All because of Day and Night, because I put it on my MySpace and it blew up, my nigga. It blew up. I can promise you that Sylvia Rhone did not listen to your remix and say she wanted to sign me. That is not why I have a record deal, bro. Nothing you're talking about is the truth. How do you think I had a music video? I was shooting the music video. I was already on. You saw a hit record and jumped on it, my nigga. Like, you didn't make me, man. You didn't make me. So, like, you got to stop telling these tales, my nigga.
Again, like I said, two things could be true. Kid Cudi could see it his way, and then again, like for somebody like myself, I'm just telling you what personally for my listening experience, and I feel like I listen to a lot of music. On my gym playlist, I damn near almost got 6,000 songs. So for the first time that I ever heard Day and Night was the Jim Jones version. I mean, Jim may have a point, but again, I'm not a huge Kid Cudi fan. Never have been. I honestly couldn't tell you. I don't even know the name of the other song that I like of his, and I like it off of the Kid See Ghost. That was recently when him and Kanye did a project together. I'm like, I do think people, again, because it is the internet and everybody feel like everybody has to know and listen to all the same songs is an absolute lie. While we going on music, I do like this young lady's breakdown on 4Bats.
Don't be like 4Bats. If you're an artist or a creative, show your process. Whoever was on 4Bats' team probably told him to delete all his old photos and all his old videos so that they can start a whole campaign about this mysterious guy who had a really great voice. And this is what hurt him. This is what brought in the accusations of an industry plant, because most likely he was probably in the underground making content, making music, and then a label person found him and was like, let's put some money behind him. The label person probably said, let's bring on a PR person, let's bring out a marketing person, and we're going to push him on TikTok. We're going to make videos on TikTok of him looking really mysterious. We're going to go viral. And they did. They went viral. The song went super viral. But what happened? People accused him of being an industry plant because who is he? Where did he come from? Where's his track record? Where are his old songs? It was just one song, that one song he made, and that was it. Where are the clips of other videos? Is there any interviews? There was nothing, because they wanted to clean slate him. They wanted to push the persona they wanted for him. Now, this strategy is very old. You find an artist in a club or some other place, and then you just change his name or change his persona and push him the way you wanted to. But this isn't 1999. This is the 2020s. You need to show your process. You need to have interview clips. Even if you interview yourself, you need to have clips of you performing or just clips of you practicing a song. Whatever it is, show your process. Because let's say one day you do go viral and you become famous. People are going to go back to the archives and look for your old stuff. And if they cannot find it, they're going to think you are an industry plant. And most likely, he is an industry plant. You know, somebody did pay a big campaign, social media company to push him. But if you're an artist and you want to make it big, do not use this strategy. Show your process, even if it's really bad. Look at Kai reading books on YouTube. Show your process, because now later on when we see him and he's reading incredibly well, we're going to say, hey, I remember when he was stuttering. It's the same thing with being an artist. Show your process, even if it's not perfect, and you will gain respect. And stop pushing campaigns. Campaigns are not going to work. This is why he lost, because he was pushing campaigns and not building a platform. Don't be like...
Okay, so real quick, and the reason why I like that conversation so much was because I feel that same way about what's the young man who I'm and you know what's so crazy, and again why I agree with what she's saying, because I didn't, and maybe I didn't look hard enough. I don't know where the young dude, the white dude Jay Wick is from. I'm sure most of y'all have seen he had his first viral song was what is it called, Pork Chop Sandwich. So of course, like you see he doing all the little platforms with the microphone down. He do an interview or two. You kind of like, damn, let me see what's up with him. Do he got other music out? So when you do it, go on Apple Music and go look and be like, damn, that's the only song he got. Like, he don't have nothing else. Like, and let's be clear. I mean, maybe if you, I see a lot of people kind of giving it pushback because they feel some type of way as a white boy, he in a video, and it's him just a bunch of niggas in the video with him. So some people feel some type of way. Cool. If that's your stance, I'm not mad at that being your stance. But for somebody like me, I just like the music. It was cool. It was something different. He was kind of, I guess realistically, even if I'm asking myself right now, would I have thought that song or those verses on that song was fire if he wasn't a white boy? I might have not have, if I'm keeping it a bean. But then he put out another song and it was called All Flats. I probably like the All Flats song way more than I like the Pork Chop song, but that's only 2 songs. So for what she's saying is, again, going back to the conversation that I had a few minutes ago when I'm talking about Fetty Wap, okay, now you caught 2 songs, right? Let's just say the whole world can agree they both like those 2 songs. You have no other music for us to get attached to. So guess what? Next Friday, come out with some new music. Come out. By the time you finally put out a project, 9 times out of 10, I'll forget all about you. Don't even remember who you are. For the difference between, and if we just keep it on just white boys who kind of like play around in this, give you like the black vibes. The Jay Wick dude compared to 1900 Rugrat. 1900 Rugrat got endless fucking music out. When the first time you probably ever got hip to 1900 Rugrat, if you somebody like me, you went on Apple Music to go look for his music, or if you somebody and you go on Spotify or you go on YouTube, wherever you go look for new music or more music, 1900 Rugrat had endless music, so you could either become a fan or be like, oh, this is just some one-hit wonder shit, or this is just something that they pushed on the timeline, it went viral, and it'll be over with. And that's kind of the same way for 4 Bats. I do feel like 4 Bats a little bit is kind of trying to fight back. I did like a couple of songs off his latest project, but I do think realistically that is the downfall for not even just artists, but even for content creators, podcasters, or YouTube. Everybody kind of want to push for just perfection and don't want for people to be able to see the process, to see you struggling, to see the bad cameras, to see whatever the case may be, and see the growth, so people can be like, oh, I like this person, I've been like them, or I've been had crazy, thoughts and opinions, or they've been kind of like, I like the song back from them from such and such. Like, think about for somebody like Young LA, like think about how big Ain't I became because some kids found it on TikTok, and he kind of got to revamp his career just for a quick second. It may only lasted a month and a half, but he still got to do it, and that helped introduce Metro Boomin to come out with that whole that futuristic summer sound, because realistically it got introduced by Young LA and it got introduced from kids via TikTok, but because he had a long catalog to kind of help kids get familiar and other people sound like that, other artists got to get that sound going back again. Look for the Rich Kids. When Playboy Cardi sit here and did what was the original Rich Kids song he did on that project? He did what was it, John? Was it Feeling Like Wheezy or something like that? I can't remember the name of it. It was something Wheezy something, but it was a Rich Kids sound. He sampled the Rich Kids. So then guess what? Even for the Rich Kids, after he sampled that, then guess what Lil Baby did? He put Playboy Cardi on a song, and they end up sampling the Rich Kids again for a different song. But again, that's just sitting here saying having a catalog, having music for people to go revisit. So when you have your moment, you constantly got music for people to revisit, where it's not just like, oh, cool, you went viral. I like this one song. And this it? Because I'm telling you, if it's only one song or if it's only one video, after you had that moment, and people gonna be like, all right, cool. Think about how much stuff we forget about. Think about whatever song you liked last week. How many times did you listen to it this week? And that kind of be my point. It be so much new music, and everybody kind of wants to have their form of creating content or talking about stuff that they like. Again, you looking for something new to talk about next week, because your audience gonna want something new. Oh, if you got me hip to these songs last week, what you got for me this week? Again, I feel like that for 4 Baps. I feel like that for the Jay Wick dude. I text the homeboy of mine when he sent me the Jay Wick. I'm like, damn, this is the only song he got. He don't have nothing else, and he ain't have nothing else. So I mean, we can go from there. I like this.
How many push-ups should men be able to do at each age? What do you think the average 20 to 29-year-old can do?
So in your 20s, you're pretty in shape. I would assume most people are. I'm going to say the average is around 30.
So the average is 16 to 29 push-ups.
All right, so I think I might be above average.
Making 16 below average and excellent would be 40 plus.
I think I can get to 40.
What about ages 30 to 39?
30 to 39. I'm assuming that this all goes downhill the older you get, or maybe 30's more. I'm going to say it's...
Think about how much we work out.
Hey, I've went 5 times in the last 11 days.
Compared to in our 20s. We are still in our 20s, but still,
no,
early
you're
20s.
45, so that's a different story. I'm going to say you could do 25.
Close. The average is 12 to 24 push-ups. Below average is less than 11, and excellent would be 35 plus. What about ages 40 to 49?
I'm just going to go with the trend here. I'm going to say it's the average is 10 to 20.
That is completely accurate. 10 to 20 push-ups would be average for that age. Below average, less than 9. Excellent would be 29 plus. And then what about over 50 years old?
This is my dad, and I'm assuming assuming he could do more than 10 push-ups. I'm going to say over 50, you could do 5 to 15 push-ups on average.
Okay, not a bad guess. On average, between 9 and 17 push-ups. Below average, less than 8. Excellent will be 26 plus.
My goal in life is to always fall in that excellent category.
I may push.
If you know me or if you've seen my content enough, you know this is one of my favorite sayings, and I got this from 2 Chainz. Most men can't do over 20 push-ups, and that is kind of the conversation we can kind of let that lead into the Corey Holcomb situation. So of course, last week it was a big viral, maybe it's 2 weeks at this point. It was a big viral video of Corey Holcomb and what's the dude, Anton Daniels, going back and forth. They got in a heated argument, and people, the social media commentators were kind of split 50-50 on who looked weak. Of course, most people really are not fans of Corey Holcomb. So a lot more people was giving credit to Anton for not backing down, whatever the case may be. With all that being said, I remember sitting here saying, because I watched how both of these men behave and neither one of them really wanted to get in an altercation with each other, I said, these are the type of niggas who are going to walk in with a chip on their shoulder and be really to crash out and get into it with anybody. I didn't know. Now, when I seen this Corey Holcomb video, I thought this situation was new. Come to find out, this was a year old. And he even went on his platform to sit here and try to down talk and sit here and say, oh, such and such, I did this happened because she was stalking me. Matter of fact, I just want to play the clip. I don't even want to see it, but I just knew for a fact that it's like dudes like Corey Holcomb, you kind of already can just tell by the way they talk about women. And I say this all the time. Anytime you see a man who's just overly frustrated and just yelling at the microphone and yelling at the camera and screaming at the top of his lungs about topic that got to do with women, 9 times out of 10, them be the type of dudes who will hit women. They hate women. They got a lot of that venom and that when you talking about, like when he was talking about, think about when he was talking about Cheyenne Bryant with the dress, like bro, for the way he was talking about her, he would have act like that was his high school sweetheart and she broke his heart and he still got some type of smoke for her because she broke his heart and left him, he was supposed to go to prom with her. That type of situation that she stood him up. Like that's how the type of energy he had for her. So I do want to play this real quick. Here we go. Come on.
Talk about how Corey Holcomb done punched this lady in the face and lied and said he did. This is Christina Payne, comedian right here. She's kind of going off in the street. She's far away from Corey, as you can see. He walks up on her and boom, punches her in the face. Her husband then goes, which kind of made me mad that her husband can't fight, but whatever. He's still defending his wife. Now you see comedian, I believe, Trina, talking to Christina in the street. Now, this is what bothers me. I keep the same energy. Corey Holcomb is almost 60 years old. He's 57. We don't have grown men no more. The young boys don't have nobody to look up to when the grown men act like children. Corey Holcomb's behavior is that of a child, but society don't even, I'm the only one who'll be like, why are these grown men acting like children? Because this is just what y'all accept. Corey went on his show right after the situation to talk about it with Trina, the woman who was seen arguing with Christina at the end of the video. Look at this.
Trina is a talented comedian, and the awful bitch wants to drag Trina into
Corey Holcomb is being accused of being a woman beater and didn't beat her.
So you
she
and
still
Craig,
got all her teeth and
I
he's
appreciate
supposedly
y'all.
hit her.
But I have to protect myself with the truth.
Like, how you hit her and she still got all her teeth? You ain't even bust a blood vessel.
Hey, I told you that it's gonna try to drag you down because you didn't do what women are expected to do by the soft women. See, women that ain't on expect all women to jump on the side of a woman, even if the woman is foul.
They face. Be prepared to get knocked down.
This is why you never really see me with comedians, because comedians do nothing but kiss ass to other comedians, right? That's what you got to do because you want to be on the road with somebody. You got to just like kiss ass. You seen the way Ryan Davis, Shannon Sharp interview, how he said his friend got on the Corey Holcomb show and didn't have his back because he want to go on the road. That's what they do. Comedians are so weak. Way that she just threw this woman under the bus and gaslit this woman to act like you did not see her just get punched in the face. And she would have not had no teeth. If you hit her, the way you do another woman like that, I'm more mad at her than I am Corey, right? Corey's supposed to lie. His career, his reputation is messed up. But you get the...
And let's be clear. I mean, you see conversations, the people saying, oh, well, he never going to get canceled. Let's be clear. It's a lot of soft men out here. It's a lot of men who feel like Corey Holcomb. And that is the reason why people like Corey Holcomb have such a big platform. That's the reason why Fresh and Fit had a huge platform. There is a lot of dudes out here who hate women. And again, of course, when you hear most women sit here and say that, or you hear other dudes say that. Let's be clear. I'm 6'3", damn near 240. I'm trying to get to 225. I'm not one of these niggas who sit here and tell y'all, bro, I promise you, 90% of the niggas I can put them in my pocket. So all I'm just sitting here saying, with that being said, is niggas like Corey Holcomb, just when they talk and the way you act, and you for even trying to come up with an excuse, and even for this woman to be like, oh, he didn't bust a blood vessel or didn't knock her teeth out. Nigga, he can't fight. He may hit like a bitch. He still got 2 eyes. He still swung and hit that woman. Just because he didn't knock her out, that just means he's a bitch. And that's the reason why he didn't want to fight the Anton nigga. Like, I think sometimes people get shit confused. You could punch somebody and not knock them out. A man could hit a woman and not knock her out because he hit like a fucking girl. What are we talking about? Again, everything about Corey Holcomb just screams just a bitch ass nigga. I'm sorry. There ain't no other way to dress it. I don't have to sit here and do a long soliloquy on how soft I think Corey Holcomb is. Any nigga who gets out of his body to have conversations and degrade women and talk saucy and sassy about women, I know for a fact you just don't want no bump. And we can just leave it at that. What else is going on in the world?
Hey, y'all. I got a song for Pepsi. Put some pep in your step. Give me a Pepsi. Give me a Pepsi. Put some pep in your step. Put some pep in your step. Give me a Pepsi. Give me a Pepsi. Cherry. Hey.
Okay, so real quick, of course, that's funny because, I mean, of course, the young lady who had a commercial in a Dr. Pepper commercial from a viral TikTok video, I do kind of want to, I hope they don't, let me play this. Hold on.
They pay old girl $2 million for her Dr. Pepper jangle. Captain D's, it's the best fish to me with some sweet tea and some mac and cheese.
The crunch don't lie. Got to get my hands on some Popeyes. The crunch.
Okay, we got to make a theme song for Coca-Cola, y'all. I was sitting here thinking, I was like, I mean, Coca-Cola needs theirs too, okay? So it'll go like this, y'all. Hear me out. Pop that top. Yeah, you know the code. One sip in, it's Coca-Cola mode. $2 million.
Mountain Dew is for you.
$2 million.
So again, shout out to all the content creators who just, I mean, of course, they just making fun of the trend, but a shout out to that young lady. $2 million from Dr. Pepper is absolutely insane. And that is, I guess, the power of social media. And you kind of never know what's going to go viral and kind of got to be ready for your moment. So of course, she made a jingle via TikTok, and Dr. Pepper reached out to her. I want to say the video went viral on TikTok and it also went viral on Twitter. And when she reached out to them, they wrote back to her on Twitter, I believe. I thought I may have sent myself the video of actually her talking about it, but I don't think I did. If I did, I'll play it a little bit later. But real quick, because something came just across my my radar I forgot to talk about, because we just talked about Corey Holcomb. I ain't gonna lie to you. I said this last week. Javante Davis, bro. I'm sure. Listen, I live in the DMV area, and this is why, you know what's so funny about the DMV, when you had these Baltimore DMV conversations, and Baltimore is not a part of the DMV. Tank, of course, we're gonna have to figure out a different conversation for Tank in a little bit, but just to kind of show you where the hypocrisy is in those conversations is, there is not a DC fighter that is as popular with the DMV area as Tank is. There's not a women's basketball, and let's be clear, it's a couple of women from the DMV area actually, like, what they consider the DMV area is popular as Angel Reese. And I just to show the hypocrisy, and when people sit here and always try to discredit Baltimore not being a part of the DMV. If you're super elite at what you do, everybody in the DMV will claim you as a part of being the DMV and forget that you are from Baltimore. But anyway, going back into the real story, Tank, I ain't gonna lie to you, dog. It's time. We have to realistically just kind of like wrap it up, dog. I ain't gonna hold you. Like, you just got too many DV charges for people to sit here and keep turning the other cheek with Tank. Like, come on, dog. Like, you just got, like, you. And he'd be like, damn, like, no, you can't keep your hands to yourself. Like, you literally cannot keep your hands off of women. And that to me is like, I can't, to me, I would be a hypocrite if I'd be like, I'm cool on whoever else that I just not banging with because of whatever their situations is. There ain't no way in the world. Or you can't even sit here and be like, especially for all the people, you can't sit here and say, I'm still a Tank fan, and you was one of the people who was going crazy on Diddy in a Cassie video, because you can't just go off the strength because you've seen what Diddy did to Cassie. You still have to Tank. Just Google Tank, bro. Listen, you know what I'm telling you. Google Tank and put in domestic violence and look at how many times this nigga has been up on charges for domestic violence. I can't keep making excuses. It's no way on God's green earth I can feel some type of way about watching what Diddy did to Cassie and still support Tank. That's absolutely insane. Let's go to Centers. Let's go Oscars conversation.
It's official. We have a new world record for the most Oscar nominations of all time by one movie. Sinners got 16 nominations today, shattering the old record, which was 14, set in a three-way tie between All About Eve, Titanic, and La La Land. One Battle After Another is second with 13 nominations, and Sentimental Value got 9 nominations. Ryan Coogler, by the way, is only the 7th Black director in history to ever be nominated for Best Picture, and the last time it happened was 7 years ago with Spike Lee. So here are all the nominations, snubs, and surprises. For Best Picture, Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. Nominating F1 instead of No Other Choice or 50 other movies is wild. Here's Best Supporting Actress. I may just have to put them on the screen for the rest of the video to save time. This is an incredible category. I was very happy with these noms. Here's Best Makeup and Hairstyling. I haven't seen Kikuo yet, but I love that Ugly Stepsister got in. Best Original Score is going to be tough. I think it goes to Ludwig Göransson for Sinners, but I love the One Battle score, and I personally love the Begonia score. Best Live Action Short and Best Animated Short are here, and I haven't seen any of these movies yet, but normally after the nominations, they are kind of grouped and available on streaming. Here's Best Adapted Screenplay. I think this one will also go to One Battle After Another. And Best Original Screenplay, where Sinners is the favorite. I love that Blue Moon got a couple nominations. Best Supporting Actor is another fun category. Maybe we'll finally get that Delroy Lindo win. Best Casting is a new category, the first new category since I think 2002. Best Costume Design will probably go to Frankenstein along with Makeup and Hairstyling, but it could go to Sinners. Best Original Song, Look, I Lied to You is incredible, but it's golden, right? The nominees for Best Documentary Feature and Best Documentary Short. Best International Feature is such a tough category this year. I do not envy the Academy for having to make this choice. I wish No Other Choice, ironically, was there instead of Surat, and I'm stunned it wasn't in the Best Picture category either. Park Chan-wook keeps getting disrespected. For Best Animated Feature, I would love to see a Little Amelie win. Best Film Editing, this is where it does make sense for F1 to kind of be mentioned. Best Production Design and Best Cinematography, and look, there's so many good choices here. They forgot Train Dreams in the screen grab I got, but it's there. But I would love to see Autumn Durald Archipel win for Sinners. Best Sound, again, this is where I do like to see movies like F1 and Surat. The sound design was incredible in those movies. Best Visual Effects is probably Avatar's To Lose, right? But I love seeing The Lost Bus here. Best Actor is the most like overtly competitive category this year. We'll see what happens. And then Best Actress, which I think it's hands down Jessie Buckley's year, but we will see. Congratulations to everybody who...
So, I mean, of course, realistically, the conversation has started around Tiana Taylor. And of course, for one, shout out to Sinners for getting 16 nominees. I'm not one of those people who just really get hyped up and anxious about these awards, because I feel like I don't know what goes into winning these awards. I feel like most of these awards, and you can't go, to me personally, you can't go from, I guess, one of the first big moments as an adult when I remember Oscars is so white and this, that, and the third. Like, remembering just hearing these conversations, there's no way you can ever get me back anxious on trying to care about these awards. Because you can't sit here and say, oh, it felt like these awards were just catered to white people. They winning all the awards. They are the people who are most nominated. And now try to draw me back in, because I can tie it into almost like dating. It's like the first time you ever really try to put your energy into dating somebody, and you really just best foot forward. Like, let's just sit and say man and woman. I'm sitting here bringing her flowers, taking her on nice dates. I'm sitting here doing all the extra stuff, and then she kind of just curved me and ghost me. Even if she come back around maybe like 2 months or 3 months later, even if you want to kind of mentally entertain it, you're never going to have that same luster for her. You're not going to still have that same effort that you want to put into her. And that's how I kind of feel for about 90% of these award ceremonies. So it's like, I see them. You see the actresses and the actors be excited for them, and the directors like Ryan Coogler, and you see how much of a big moment it is for Tiana Taylor. So of course, you're not trying to rain on the parade and ish on it, but you do. I'm not about to sit here and make it like I'm going to cut on the Oscars and sit here and watch it. If they win it, of course, I'll come in here and congratulate whoever win it, but I'm not about to sit here and get my hopes up and then you be on the internet if Sinners go 0 for 16, niggas is going to sit here and lose their mind. But again, it's like, why are you losing your mind for something that you literally just a few years ago? I'm telling you, I remember this in my adult time. I remember Oscar So White. How do you get, wow, listen to him tell me, watch how people will go. If Senators go 0 for 16, God willing, they won't. But even if they only go, let's say if they go 2 for 16 or 3 for 16, and it depends on the 3 that they win, because if they give them something cheesy, like, and I don't even want to say cheesy because there is a black woman who came up with the like the designs and the way the visuals, the way it looks. So cool if she win, of course people gonna celebrate. But if it's for stuff like that, you're gonna be pissed if what's the white boy to be at all the Knicks games? Charlemagne or whatever the hell his name is. I just know he be at all the Knicks games. If he beat Michael B. Jordan for Best Actor, y'all are gonna be pissed. If what's the older dude that everybody was making a big deal? He was in Centers, the old man. He played the old man in the joint. He played the I can't remember his name. Lindell, what's his name? Lindell Carter, I believe. If he loses, you're gonna feel some type of way, especially if he loses to somebody that you feel like, and 9 times out of 10, you probably didn't watch the movie as a black person. And that is something that I am doing right now in the process, of course, because it's a snowstorm. I paused it. I really haven't got through it. I probably got to put HBO Max on my phone so I can kind of really lock in, because I'm one of the people like, if it's on TV, I can watch, and for some reason it's kind of a little bit slow. I'm probably just as bad as the kids, but I watch movies and kind of really take it in better while I'm playing the game. So if I put it on my phone instead of trying to watch it on TV, realistically, I'll get through one battle or another and really be able to have a real thought on it, because I see so many people giving Tiana Taylor. And let's be clear, I got through like 35 minutes of it, and I know that people said she wasn't even in it for that long, so I'm sure probably the next 10 or 15 minutes her character may either die off or just not on it anymore. And I see where people kind of can get upset because her character is that first like 30 minutes into it, she's super, like, she kind of low-key like selling cheeks or giving up cheeks to be able to pull off missions, because they got like different little situations where they blowing stuff up or whatever the case may be. Like I said, I think I really need to probably start that 30 minutes back over, really to digest and understand what they're doing. But I'm paying it, like I'm watching it, but I was kind of like really wasn't locked in like I need to be. But to pay attention to how her character was giving it up. Like I seen her kissing, what was my man, and this, I'm super bad with white people names. I forgot whatever the super popular white dude is in the movie. That she was tongue kissing as soon as the movie came in, and they was making out. They had like 5 makeout scenes, probably like the first 10 minutes of the jump. So I kind of understand why people felt some type of way, but I mean, it's still a great look for Tiana Taylor. And then she kind of linked up with this super old white dude. She ended up being pregnant. She ended up getting beat up. Like, I get where people may have felt some type of way, because again, to me, the movie that I watched the Tiana Taylor's all the way through and think she had an amazing character in 2 different movies. Of course, that the first one was what was it called, 1900 Block or something? I forgot what it was called, but it was a joint that went straight to streaming. And then of course Straws with Tyler Perry. So I kind of understand for people to get upset, like, why is she getting highlighted for this movie? But I mean, she played her role. That was her role in that movie. She did it at an elite level. So I'm not mad for her getting nominated for these awards, but I do understand where people felt some type of way. So I do want to kind of play a couple of people who did feel some type of way about what Tiana Taylor got going on right now.
I'm going to ask a question. If you're a Tiana Taylor fan, you're going to be offended. I'm going to ask a question. What are our thoughts about this? What are our thoughts about this being what Vanity Fair posted the day after Tiana Taylor won a Golden Globe? What are our thoughts about the juxtaposition of what's happening in this cover? You want to know my thoughts? Well, I'm glad you asked. Let's start off with the caption up here, in which they talk about her electric Golden Globe winning performance, call it an exercise in resilience and vulnerability. I have been very vocal already about how I dislike this movie, how I dislike the portrayal of basically every single Black woman, how I dislike the writing and the storytelling, how I think that this was a movie that could have been done in an hour and 45 minutes. I don't like this movie at all. I think that there have been better projects made over the past year, even if you put Sinners aside. However, as I previously mentioned, award show season is political. Award show season is about appeasing the right people and getting the votes that you need in order to win. And somebody on Threads the other day suggested that they think Tiana might have taken the bait, and that might be why she's a little bit in the spotlight right now. And the reason why I'm not pointing out that person is because it happened in a thread of a thread. And also, I don't want y'all going after that person for hate when they were trying to be low key. You can hate me for saying it, because what are we doing here? What are we doing on this cover? Let's look at it a little closer. Now, we have Miss Tiana here as Lady Liberty. And if you want to go into some art criticism, let's talk about that. I think she's a New Yorker, so it's not too crazy to put her in that outfit. However, in the current context of what's been going on for the last however long, and also as being a Black woman, positioning her as Lady Liberty, who like basically lights the way towards being an American, I don't know. Feels like there's something there. And one of my main criticisms about her character is that she seems to be this hypersexualized nymphomaniac and very much like a white man's wet dream. And that's what they love to award, is like Black women who get to be a white man's fantasy. So why is her Lady Liberty once again hypersexualized with this like skin tight, silky dress? And it's kind of dirty in a weird sort of way. Why would you portray Lady Liberty as being dirty and wrapped in clothing that you would possibly see on like a Roman slave? Meanwhile, the crown up there, if you can see, it's kind of like beaded in a way that mimics African ancestry, like as if, once again, this is your African queen wrapped up in your dirty silk sheets. Like, this feels very white man's wet dream to me. And knowing that, I'm almost offended to see a Langston Hughes quote over here that says, besides, they'll see how beautiful I am and be ashamed I too am America. Once again, a Black woman's only value to white people is, oh, if you're hot enough for me to want to bang you, you get to be cool. We'll count you as part of the club. If that sounds like a bit of a reach for you, let's look at the other things that they thought were important to talk about on the cover. The 250th birthday of America, which might be its last. The 365 days in power, Trump's inner circle on the record. Okay, cool. Tainted Love, Carolyn and JFK reimagined. Plus, Hot People, Cold Places, our 2026 guide to ski season. I'm sorry. If Teyana Taylor is supposed to be kind of like one of our new Black queens in the film space, why is this kind of like Trumpy white people shit? And might I remind you, for those of you who have never worked in social media or in production, this cover was definitely created well before the Golden Globes. They didn't just wake up that morning somehow and have this thrown together. No, this photo shoot would have been done a couple of weeks ago. This whole thing would have taken a couple of weeks at the very least to put together. And the person who scheduled it to go out at 8:01 is likely a social media manager who wanted it to seem organic, because when you schedule things to go out on the hour, like 8 a.m. or 8:30 a.m., the algorithm tends to see it as faker. So we would usually put it at like 8:01, 8:05, 8:07. I usually fake the times whenever I'm doing a pre-scheduled social media post. And for those of you who want to keep reiterating that awards don't matter and that especially people of color should not care about winning them, may I remind you that people do, because it can boost your profile. It can move you from Black famous, which Teyana Taylor is, to mainstream, aka white famous. It can move you from making X amount of dollars per movie to 10X amount of dollars per movie. Awards matter because of what you're allowed to demand once you say, there's a little gold man on my mantle. So I'm just saying, between the movie itself that I hate, between this magazine cover that I think is questionable, between her award speech where people said, interesting that you dedicated it to brown girls and not Black, are there things that we might be seeing as signs that Teyana took the bait in order to advance her career?
Again, like I said, to me personally, I'm not that woke, but I love to just play these clips just so other people can kind of get your thought pattern, get your brain kind of moving around a little bit. And I realistically will kind of even what she said about the award thing. If you do have like, I got a Samsung TV, right? So even on the TV, when they're showing you it come through on the jump, like on the TV, it literally sit here and say, oh, these are the shows that's nominated for an Oscar, or this one a Golden Globe, or this, like literally on the TV. And it shows you and it links you to whatever streaming platforms you already got. So if I already got HBO Max, that's how I was watching one battle after another. Then Sinners is on there. It's a couple of, or when The Pit was nominated for something, that's also on HBO Max. And then whatever was nominated from Netflix. So they kind of, what she's saying, and even with and that's why I say with the awards, like I get it, something I may not be into, but I can't knock and not act like I don't see what's going on the way they are showing me, because now it will make you, if you somebody who really want to get into some of these awards, or you want to make sure that you're not just unfairly getting upset about who wins these awards, you may want to watch some of these movies and shows to figure out, oh, this is why this is nominated with Sinners, or this is why it's nominated in this, to kind of get a better, because I think, me personally, if you want to have a real honest conversation about these award shows, you should sit here and take time to watch some of these movies that's nominated, especially if you just rooting for Sinners. Like if you're just keeping it almost some super pro Black shit, I'm just rooting for Sinners, you should watch, especially if you don't watch all the other movies that's nominated. I definitely believe you should at least watch one battle or another, because that's the one that it seems like is going head to head up. Teyana Taylor is the person who's getting a lot of the conversation around the Black people. So realistically, you should watch it. It's on HBO Max. Like I said, I'm planning to at least, especially while we're in a snowstorm, I plan to at least finish and watch it, because I do see a lot of people feel some type of way about it. And that was that young lady's thought pattern on it. So let's go. Let's a little bit of laughter after that, I guess. Here we go.
What do you call two lesbians in a closet? A liquor cabinet.
God, Brian.
What does a 9-volt battery and a butthole have in common? You know you're not supposed to put your tongue on it, but you still do.
Oh, God.
Bro, I can show you how old this
How do you know
lady
you're at a
is,
gay
though,
picnic?
dog. You can't even see it.
All the hot dogs taste like shit.
No, now, Brian.
What do bungee jumpers and gay men have in common? If the rubber breaks, they're in deep shit.
My God, Brian.
What's the hardest part about eating a vegetable?
I don't know.
Putting them back in the wheelchair.
Jesus Christ. Oh, my God. Oh my God.
What do you call two?
All right, let's get into a little bit of NFL conversation. So, of course, the Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers, both, of course, AFC North rivals. Both of them have selected their new head coaches. I believe the Pittsburgh Steelers coach is Mike McCarthy. Is that how you say his name? Let's be clear. The guy who literally just got fired a season ago from the Dallas Cowboys, he was, of course, at one point in time, the championship coach for the Green Bay Packers with Aaron Rodgers. So, of course, if people are trying to put their 2 and 2 together, like, oh, I hope the Pittsburgh Steelers keep Aaron Rodgers again. That's why I did say last year. And I do feel kind of bad because, I mean, like when Pittsburgh was kind of doing their thing, we didn't have real back and forth banter between their season last season. But I'm not going to lie to you. If y'all will out Aaron Rodgers again in his goddamn wheelchair with his AP card, we're going to have a conversation. And I've seen people, of course, I mean, if you're a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you're going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So you see some people man, it's cool. Look at the Cowboys. They always had a winning record. But, I mean, you got rid of Mike Tomlin because he had a winning record. He couldn't get you a Super Bowl. This dude only got one jump, so did Mike Tomlin. So I kind of wanted to see, I mean, of course, and it depends on what social media platform you get on. Non-Pittsburgh Steelers fans had endless jokes and kind of sit here and said, what the hell was the point? And let's be clear, as somebody who is I'm not a Ravens fan. I root for the Ravens because Lamar Jackson plays there. The Ravens, I'm not going to lie to you. And this is sometimes when I know, like, hey, I'm not a diehard fan of nothing because I feel like I got to talk about too many things. So I don't have the time to know about some random ass offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator for the San Diego Chargers. I know they're the Los Angeles Chargers now. So I didn't know. When I seen the name, I was like, all right, who the fuck is this nigga? I'm just me personally. I'm gonna just be keeping it a bang. I'm not about to say I hate when niggas be sitting here acting like, oh, I know this dude. He an elite. You do not know this nigga. Niggas barely even talk about Justin Herbert. Well, I ain't gonna say barely. They suck Justin Herbert nuts. But niggas barely talk about the Chargers as a team outside of Justin Herbert. So, no, I did not know who their defensive coordinator is. Didn't care who their defensive coordinator is. So, do I feel like the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Baltimore Ravens both literally just did blah at their new head coaching positions? I absolutely think both of them just did blah at their new head coaching positions. And do I think realistically the Pittsburgh Steelers is probably in a worse scenario? Yes, because they still don't have a real quarterback. Let's be clear. The way Aaron Rodgers played, 9 times out of 10, he's going to play worse this following season if he comes back. If he doesn't, you don't have a quarterback at all. With all that being said, if Lamar Jackson is fully healthy and Joe Burrow is fully healthy, Aaron Rodgers goes back to the end of the bus of that fucking conference. Let's just call a spade a spade. I don't know nothing about this Baltimore Ravens new head coach. I'm not sitting here making it seem like, oh, the Ravens won the battle. I don't know, dog. I just know for a fact, for just seeing, call me a casual. For a casual NFL football fan, this shit did not wet my beak. Pause, no diddy. So I mean, that's just how I feel on that one.
Azeez Al-Shaair of the Houston Texans has been fined $11,593 by the NFL for wearing Stop the Genocide on his eye black tape a week ago today after beating the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this brings up a lot of interesting questions about the NFL and how players should or should not be allowed to use their platform. Fine came for having this visible in the post-game interview with Scott Van Pelt after the Steelers game. He also wore it in pre-game warmups yesterday. I'm 100% on board with the message that Azeez is displaying here. I think there is something present in this conversation to be upset about, but if you are a fan of the NFL, if you know the rule book, you understand this was always going to be a fine, and Azeez understood that as well.
Kids that have been amputated. Were you disappointed that the league fined you for this?
I knew, that was a fine. I understood what I was doing as far as, for example, Steph, he wears the eye tape, since I know him with stuff on it. And they always find you.
Yeah.
But I was told that if I wore that in the game, I would be pulled out the game. So I think that was probably the part that I was confused about because I understood it was a fine.
Sure.
But, I ain't never seen Steph get pulled out of the game for having eye tape with writing on it.
True.
So, at the end of the day, it's bigger than me. And the things that are going on makes people uncomfortable. Imagine how those people feel. I think that's the biggest thing. I have no affiliation, no connection to these people other than the fact that I'm a human being. And if you have a heart and you're a human being, you can see what's going on in the world. You check yourself real quick. Even when I'm walking off this field, that's the type of stuff that goes through my head that I have to check myself when I'm sitting here crying about football when there's people who are dying every single day.
Perspective and awareness.
Yes, sir.
You can tell in that interview, Aziz knew he was going to get fined. He's not outraged at that. He understood that the message itself was worth that money. Nick Bosa interrupted a Brock Purdy interview a while back with a MAGA hat. He got fined basically the same exact amount of money. Read this for yourself in the NFL rulebook. It's Rule 5, Section 4, Article 8. Nuance in this entire conversation is required. I will say you can get messages approved by the league. And I think Aziz knew this is a message that the NFL never would have approved. I don't think I have a concrete answer here, but I think the question should be asked, do you want to see players able to express themselves however they want? So you can have stuff like what Aziz did and also have stuff like this, which might happen a lot in the NFL, which is very conservative. I don't think I particularly care. I think that would be an interesting way to tell who's who, but I'm curious to see what you guys think. NFL does have small ways for people to express themselves and the things they care about. Something I've seen people disingenuously using in this argument is Vikings kicker Greg Joseph having these I Stand With Israel cleats for the My Cause, My Cleat thing that the NFL does a couple years ago. That's a disingenuous argument because Aziz Al-Shaair has been able to use this for Palestinians multiple times, as he should. And in a country where there is free speech, you can't say that this is okay, but Greg Joseph can't have those cleats. Aziz is not just someone who wants to wear the cleats and call it a day. He's poured his time, money, and effort into the cause. Consistently hosting Palestinian children at Texans games, including kids that are amputees that have had their limbs blown off by Israel. This is in a league where that type of bravery is not an easy thing to do. We have people with a lot of power and money like Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft truly is one of those people where the more you dig in, more incredibly upsetting stuff you seem to find. Shout out to Tom Brady as well, posing here with the IDF. Aziz also does not limit his activism to this cause. He was actually the Texans nominee for Walter Payton Man of the Year. Poured his time and money into United Way, Covenant House Girls Flag Football in Houston. He's a sponsor for a program the Texans have where they find people who have not been able to go to an NFL game and help them get there. He also works with the Hype Freedom School, which finds kids that are in need of help, gets them into a program that kind of develops them and gives them some structure. Al-Shaair is also someone who's been through it in life. His parents got divorced when he was young. His house then burned down when he was a sophomore in high school. He was living in a motel, taking a bus 2 hours just to get to high school. Texans GM and Executive Vice President Nick Caserio is aware of that past, saying about Aziz, nobody embodies our program more than Aziz, what he's about, what he's been through. There's not a more selfless individual, more about the team who's earned the respect that represents everything we want this program to be about. The point of this post for me is to celebrate this person who understood the fact that he was going to get fined for this and did it anyway. In a league where we saw Colin Kaepernick essentially sacrifice his career to do the right thing, to stand up on the right side of history. You want to know the part that really gets to me and grinds my gears? It's this right here, because Al-Shaair was told if he kept it on his face during the game against the Patriots, he would have been pulled out of the game. This is where you're getting into territory that is not normal. There is no precedent for this. The person that's done this and been fined as expected, but has been willing to pay the fine and still allowed to play, that is Stephon Diggs, who is currently on the Patriots. He has worn Bible verses from Timothy and Philippians. He has worn Trust God on his face. This is the Stephon Diggs that's accused of assault and battery, accused of strangling his personal chef over a pay dispute. The arraignment was supposed to be January 23rd, which would be 2 days before the AFC Championship game where they will play the Denver Broncos, but it got pushed back conveniently to 5 days after the Super Bowl. Good Christian Stephon Diggs never got pulled out of the game for having this on his face, right? The current situation with Stephon Diggs is just alleged. It does bring up a conversation where the NFL seems to tolerate certain levels of heinous individuals while really targeting others for things where they're not doing anything wrong. If you're someone like Tyreek Hill, it's okay, right? As long as you're still fast enough to put on a show on the field. But if people want to express themselves, by celebrating or a little bit of taunting, God forbid, these grown men at the, height of their professional careers taunt each other, the world might explode. This is not okay, right? We can't have any personal expression. Conversation there, that's perhaps a topic for another video, but all I wanted to say is shout out to Aziz Al-Shaair for standing on the right side of history. Above all, putting his money where his mouth is. Aziz Al-Shaair.
Again, that's just and the shout outs. I guess shout outs to the Patriots. The Patriots did win today's game. What was that final score of that Patriots Broncos game? Final score 10-7. That was a ugly game, dog. That was literally, and I wrote on Threads. I said I felt like Ooh, the Seahawks up. What is the score? 24-20 right now in the third quarter, 8 minutes and 13 seconds. But yeah, that Patriots and Broncos game felt like a 1 p.m. game on week 3 of the regular season in the NFL. That was probably one of the worst AFC championship games or conference championship games I've ever seen. 10-7. Like, and I get, I mean, that kind of leans into the conversation where a lot of people felt like that the Patriots had a super easy schedule all season and didn't really play no real contenders. And I mean, of course, the weather did get very horrible towards the mid of the third quarter in that Broncos and Patriots game. But realistically, man, for that game to be as close as it was and the Broncos was playing with a backup quarterback, to me, kind of speaks on why people was questioning, did the Patriots actually really play anybody this season? But I mean, we're going to see. I do feel like realistically, whoever wins this Rams-Seahawks game, 9 times out of 10, going to blow the doors off the Patriots. But the Patriots will be back in the Super Bowl. This is the first time they've been back to the Super Bowl since Tom Brady has left the Patriots. I guess let's get into 21 Savage and 21 Savage and Fabio Foreign. They had their little back and forth. I feel like I really don't realistically even have to play the conversation between academics and Fabio. I feel like most people probably already heard it. But basically, Fabio was questioning, how do you know that 21 Savage is a real street dude? And then, of course, 21 Savage had his opinion back and said here and was like basically Fabio Foreign. You've been rapping your whole life. You never even really had no time to be a street dude to even understand where I'm coming from for you to kind of give me a response. And then Fabio posted up the freestyle with him and Lotto did. So in that kind of obviously people who know, if you kind of know, that 21 Savage and Lotto is dealing with each other. It's kind of like they never went public, but they kind of then went public. If you actually listen to their music and they kind of the little blues clues, bars in between how they kind of claim each other via the music. So, I mean, of course, he posted that. Then Lotto responded. 21 responded with posting a video of Fabio Foreign baby mom sitting here calling him DL. So that's kind of the little back and forth. And then you've seen some people who got upset with Fabio. I mean, not Fabio Foreign, but got upset with 21 Savage because 21 Savage kind of went smack back at Fabio Foreign, but you didn't go back at NBA YoungBoy because NBA YoungBoy did an interview with Complex. And realistically, that to me is like the small portion of the internet who cares just about the back and forth beefs. But I was surprised on how many NBA YoungBoy fans were upset about NBA YoungBoy having this little situation going on with how he felt about Trump. Where's these people who I do want to play the clip of some of these fans though, because they really kind of felt some type of way. Here we go.
It was actually very embarrassing to sit there and see NBA YoungBoy say what he said about Make America Slime Again when he was like, oh, he means whatever Donald Trump is applying to it, because you don't even understand what Donald Trump is applying to it, nor can you explain what that means. So how can that be what you're applying? And this is something that particularly frustrates me with my fellow Black people, because so many people feel like they have the privilege to not care about policy, to not care about the way policy impacts their personal lives. But you as a Black person do not have that privilege. I'm sorry. And I feel like this is really emphasizing in 2026 the difference between race-related issues and class-related issues. Because back in history, when Black people didn't have access to capitalism and couldn't participate at all because they weren't given any type of piece of the pie to share, these class-related issues weren't as prominent. But right now, when Black people are becoming millionaires and can reach upper class status, we see time and time again Black people joining the upper class and then further perpetuating oppression towards the lower class, which is primarily made up of Black and brown people. So class-related issues are further disproportionately impacting Black people and marginalizing and dividing the Black community. And it needs to be recognized. These Black celebrities are not doing anything to give back and support the Black community. They're literally getting into these higher statuses of wealth and are turning to propaganda. And it's so sick because these Black celebrities that are endorsing Donald Trump and MAGA don't even recognize that they are just a pawn in a dirty game and are being utilized by this administration so that they can mangle more Black votes. They don't recognize that. Like, y'all are enticing young Black people to stand back and allow fascism to apply, allow civil liberties to be ripped away in front of their faces. You are enticing your young Black fans to encourage white supremacy. And that's very, very sick to me as a fellow Black person and as a Black listener to many of these Black artists. This is very, very concerning.
So one, I love the way she broke that down. But I guess my two-part question to that is, I guess realistically, do y'all believe the NBA YoungBoy fan, let's talk about like a diehard NBA YoungBoy fan, do you think they really understand politics? Do you think they really understand even what he was saying? Because even him answering it, and I'm not literally NBA YoungBoy is one of those people I got to take what he say in the clip at face value because I'm not watching a 30-minute, 40-minute, no type of minute interview of NBA YoungBoy because I just hate that little I'm too high or drugged up type of like response in interviews. Like if you're gonna do an interview, do it, speak clearly, let people really be able to hear and feel what you're saying. Like I felt like he kind of tried to like still put on that little I'm nervous, I'm a junkie type of vibe in the interview. So I'm cool on that. So, but again, with that all being said, do you actually feel like people who are like diehard NBA YoungBoy fans, for people, if you haven't never went to a concert, if you've seen the videos going viral, you kind of, and of course we kind of got to stereotype a little bit and kind of just be a little bit judgmental of the crowd that we seen. Do you feel like these people realistically who went to this concert know anything about politics? It did even some of them, even are they even old enough to actually vote? So that kind of will go to it. And then the second part is, does that kind of go a little bit more on parents? Because I do feel like, I mean, of course, if you're an NBA YoungBoy fan and you are 21 and older, then I mean, you your own spirit, I still would probably ask, do you really even understand realistically what's going on in the political climate right now? Because I honestly don't necessarily know if everybody do, or even if I can believe if you do. Now, if you have some way to prove and show it, then cool. I don't think this shoe isn't for everybody. If it fit where, I don't think everybody is capable to wear this shoe or even have to have this conversation with. But again, I think sometimes it goes into the parents, and because I do feel like parents should be more prevalent in their kids' life, especially when it comes to the political climate that we're in right now. Because I don't think realistically, I don't care if your kid is 13 and older, you should still be fine, especially you can't leave it up to just the school system at this point. You should be vividly having conversations with your kids about what's going on in the world, because it's too much of it via social media, and you don't want your kids to go down the wrong, because I think a lot of parents, they get too comfortable with putting a tablet in front of their kid face, letting the kids put on some headphones, and you don't know what they're watching and listening. So you sitting here saying, like, to me, what NBA YoungBoy's preference on the political climate or how he felt about Donald Trump, to me, to the regular person, that shouldn't mean nothing, because realistically, NBA YoungBoy should not be nowhere near the bar set for the conversation of what we got going on when you're talking about some goddamn political stuff. I don't give a fuck what NBA YoungBoy feel like about Donald Trump. And realistically, if I'm a parent, I should be able to allow my kid to listen to them. But I should, because 9 times out of 10, you ain't telling me that some kid in their 20s or their teens listening to NBA YoungBoy, going to his concerts, their parents didn't see the clip of that interview. Because that's a bald-faced lie. Because 9 times out of 10, most parents in that age group, or the parent to the age group of those kids, are on social media just as much as their kids are. So that means you've seen these clips. So that means realistically, you should take time as a parent and go have a conversation with your kid about what's going on. And we can sit here and do that when I'm sitting right now, and we can play the clips of what's going on right now in Minnesota. Because there ain't no way in hell you sitting here telling me you could love NBA YoungBoy. He could be your favorite rapper, but you, as a parent, you should sit here and explain to your kid, hey, NBA YoungBoy is cool for your entertainment, but you should never fucking pay attention to what NBA YoungBoy's political preference is. He can barely even have a conversation. He can barely talk. You can love his music. You can love how his music makes you feel, but when it comes to politics, we going to find somebody else for you to follow or listen and pay attention to. We, as a family, can have conversations. We can, as a family, can dissect, and we can, as a family, can even go to NBA YoungBoy concerts and enjoy it. But guess what? As a family, especially for when it's time to go vote again in 2028, matter of fact, not just 2028, in the midterms, it's coming up in November. We, as a family, need to take our black asses to go vote together, and I'm going to tell you why we're voting for this person, and this is what we're going to do. And real quick, while we on that, I hope everybody, if you get a chance or you get an opportunity, please go watch Jasmine Crockett's debate on YouTube. She had a debate, what was that, yesterday? She had a debate. I forgot the dude that she's going against in Texas for her Senate place. And a lot of people were sleeping on Jasmine Crockett. There was a couple of videos of different people sitting here saying, oh, they don't think that she could win. Let's be clear. Jasmine Crockett, the big, I want to say the biggest, went up there and she wiped her ass with that goddamn boy in that little debate. She did her biggest one. So shout outs to Jasmine Crockett. If you get an opportunity, please go watch it. I know for a fact I watched it on Roland Martin's YouTube channel. So if you are familiar with Roland Martin, he has his own YouTube channel. You can go and watch Jasmine Crockett's debate on his YouTube channel. Or, I mean, you can just get on YouTube and you can put it in there. Or I'm sure if you're on TikTok or something, you can also find it. So again, shout outs to Jasmine Crockett. She did her big one in that debate. And absolutely, I can't wait to hear people's conversation change, because a lot of people were sleeping on Jasmine Crockett. But after that debate, I'm sure she woke a lot of niggas up. Let's go real quick. Yeah, I do want to play people talking about matter of fact, I need to play that clip of Jasmine Crockett just because I just mentioned Jasmine Crockett. Let's go Jasmine Crockett real quick. While I'm looking for Jasmine Crockett video, shout outs to Breonna Stewart. Breonna Stewart, of course, is the co-founder of Unraveled. Of course, Breonna Stewart is a two-time WNBA MVP. I believe she also is a two-time champion. I know for a fact she's a four-time national champion. She won the women's college basketball champion 4 times with the Connecticut Huskies. But again, shout outs to Breonna Stewart, because before their game today, Sunday, she had a sign where it says abolish ICE at Unraveled. So again, that just and again, shout outs. And as a matter of fact, shout outs to Tyrese Halliburton, because I believe I've seen a lot of people on social media saying Tyrese Halliburton was the first person in the NBA to actually speak up against ICE so far. But again, shout out to Brown. I mean, of course, women in the WNBA, they don't hold no effort. I believe also Cheryl Reeves, the coach of the Minnesota Lynx, she also tweeted out and talked about it on her platform as well. So I mean, that's not nothing new for the women of the WNBA. So I kind of feel like that's just on brand for them. They kind of like stand on business just naturally. That's just who they are. If you even wanted to go see, there's a video, it's a docu-series on Amazon Prime. I believe it's called, I know it's based around the Atlanta Dream. I believe it's called Dream something. But if you go on Amazon Prime and put in WNBA documentary, it should pop up. And in a way they help get the what's his name, Governor Warnock, I believe. The way they got him elected in Georgia and got rid of the old Atlanta Dreams owner. That's also on Amazon Prime. But again, we'll get into the rest. Let me play the Jasmine Crockett though.
I think that I will do the edgy things, the things that the political consultants will never tell you to do. Because right now, people are hurting. This isn't about games. It's not about politics as usual. It's not about who sounds as clean as possible. It is about tapping into the rawness of this moment. I have been to Minneapolis and heard the stories of the people on the ground as they are being accosted. And obviously, we've got killings that are going on. And now we have the DOJ that has decided that they want to prosecute the wife of Renee Good. I have been there in California after David Huerta of SEIU had been incarcerated by ICE. And I listened to his story and met with him because we went there. I have been to Chicago. I am here to tell you that I am not just sitting in DC. I am getting out into the streets. And right now, to be perfectly honest, if we're going to win and keep our country, we're going to need somebody who can file bills, but also knows how to be a street fighter. And so that is my response.
Mr. Tallarico.
To their show. I think that I will.
Again, shout out to Jasmine Crockett. Again, like I said, you can watch the full debate on Roland Martin's YouTube channel. That is where I watched it. And I'm sure realistically, I mean, of course, when people start to go back to work on Monday and Tuesday, you will hear more people talk about this. And I'm not gonna lie, even when it comes to like NBA YoungBoy, and I'm just somebody, and I know a lot of people kind of be on the fence and really don't bang with like Rory and Maul from the you used to be on Joe Budden podcast, but I gotta say this because it's been on my heart. I'd be so disappointed in them because I mean, I believe Rory is like in his mid-30s and Maul is like in his early 40s. Like to listen to them every week and all they do is sit on that jump and talk about like J. Cole and like hip hop shit. I'm like, bro, y'all niggas is too grown to never have conversations about what's going on in the real world. Not sitting here saying you got to become a political pundit, but I do think realistically, if you're going to build a platform for yourself, I don't care if it's sports, hip hop, or whatever, you should still have some common decency, especially to the people who listen to you, to kind of still acknowledge what's going on in the real world. To me, I'm not gonna lie, that just been sitting on my heart for a couple of days now. I was just like, in disgust just listening to them. Like, nigga, y'all took 3 days to talk about J. Cole and you ain't acknowledging nothing that was going on in the real world. To me, it's kind of absolutely crazy. But again, like I said, let's play into some of these clips on what's going on. Let's go. Here we go.
Does anybody know why they're targeting Minnesota specifically? If you're from the Chicagoland area, you pretty much know. If you were a single mom back in the 90s and you needed help, people went to Minnesota. It helped you with housing, childcare, food assistance. It's a woman's state. It went after men who didn't pay their child support. If you were doing bad in a red state like Indiana, you packed up and you went to Minnesota where they would help you get on your feet. They paid for college. They got women in trade programs. They helped people with housing when they were homeless. They're going after Minnesota because it's a good state that does good by the people. And they don't like that. The GOP doesn't want anyone taking handouts. As a matter of fact, one of the co-founders of the People's Sick Day was in Minnesota before they went to Arizona, because after she was left stranded as a single mom, Minnesota was willing to help her. The reason why Minnesota stands together the way that they do is because they're a community who lifts each other up, and the Republicans hate that. Does anybody know why they're targeting?
So this is shortly after Alex Preddy had been savagely unalived by ICE. And in the comments on this video, I said, you know, flying an American flag in this moment is a special type of Stockholm syndrome. And of course, a white woman felt the need to say, go away, you're not from Minnesota. Stop criticizing people who are mourning. Be negative somewhere else, Amanda. Not today, not here. Yes, today, every day, everywhere. I will remind you people what this nation has always been. You're mourning? I'm a Black person. I've never not been in mourning in this nation. I came into the world mourning. Y'all are mourning? Flying that flag for many of us has always been a slap in the face, because it has never represented for those of us what it represents for you. You're in mourning? No shit. You're so blown away by what's happening because it's just now happening to white people. This has been happening. So don't tell me when and where I get to remind you of the goddamn truth of this nation. If anything, I better remind you at the sight of this nation doing what it's been doing and expanding that, so that you can maybe continue to be a force to stop it, because you should have been a force to stop it a long time ago. Again, shout out to Minnesota, standing up and standing tall and standing loud.
Even again, going back to just that the clip before I played before Amanda Seals, and when they say Minnesota is just heavily, or Minneapolis is heavy for like women, and I think about that because again, I'm huge on watching the WNBA, and I'm somebody also who pay attention to the crowd. I pay attention to the crowd a lot when you're watching these games, because I always tell people, like, when you ever look at like the clips of like the Indiana Fever game, I'd be like, bro, that shit look like something I would never want to go out. Like if you ever see a clip like, or even a still frame of like the Indiana Fever games, it looked like a scene out of a Jordan Peele Get Out type of movie. But if you watch like Minnesota, or even Minnesota and the Phoenix Mercury, probably are like the two best of like just hardcore what a real WNBA fan stand for, because I'm like, you kind of get to see Black people, white people, a lot of lesbian couples, women with like the crazy colorful wigs and all of these other things. So when that lady was saying that, that first thing I thought about, because that is probably one of like my main interactions with women, is like via like the WNBA, especially from like women from states that I'm not from, or women who may have different religious beliefs or different dating histories and stuff like that. You kind of really get to see that. So when that woman said that about Minnesota and Minneapolis, it kind of really resonated to me, because it made me think about the fans at the Minnesota Lynx games and how many people be so happy to play against the Lynx or happy against the play against the Mercuries, because both of them to me are like kind of like, when it comes to fan bases, is damn near like identical twin sisters, just different. One got blue jerseys and the other one got purple. So I kind of just wanted to say that in there for people where you can kind of get that a little bit to allow that to go on your brain. Let me see. Hold on. That one ain't I need a clear jump so you can really hear the real conversation behind some of these, because it got crazy. I feel like that might have been it, the only clips that I kind of had from people actually. Hold on, nope.
You see it yet? Not blue hair, not a radical, not an immigrant, not even a woman who we know you have no respect for. This is a white, seemingly straight, good-looking young man, an ICU nurse who works at the VA helping our heroes. He was on the street filming when ICE double-handed pushed a woman to the ground, and he went over and he stood between her and their violence. And then the federal officers pepper sprayed both of them, and he still kept his body between her and these out-of-control monsters. So then 8 untrained cowards jumped him. They disarmed him because he told them he was carrying, with a legal permit, by the way, in a concealed carry state, and then they executed him in front of a street full of people on camera. And when his lifeless body was on the ground for the crime of protecting someone who was being attacked, these fucking psychopaths put at least 5 more bullets into his body. And we're supposed to believe they were fearing for their lives? DHS and ICE are already on TV saying he was armed and violently resisting. No, he wasn't, you fucking liars. He wasn't violent. You were. You are the armed criminals. You are the ones with no place in civil society. The United States Senate is voting on ICE's funding next week. And this is a group that does not deserve to be funded. Any senator who votes to continue to pay for this mob of unhinged murderers is out of their fucking mind, because this cannot be retrained. This has to be stopped. So if you are a U.S. senator right now, do not write a fucking tweet. Do not write a fucking tweet. Write a bill. Write a bill that abolishes this heinous department. Yes, we need immigration officers, but we don't need whatever the fuck these guys are. This man's name was Alex Jeffrey Peretti. He was 37 years old, and he was executed by the American government. Did you see?
And again, like I said, and that's the reason why I can't sit here and get like upset with the NBA YoungBoy, because these are just random. Listen to what I'm saying. All of these people outside of Amanda Seales, these are just random people on social media talking passionately about politics. There's no way in hell your kid should be influenced by NBA YoungBoy when it comes to politics, because just listen to, I even almost wanted to play the clip just so you can hear his tone of voice on the way he was trying to even explain it. And it was kind of just like, well, you can't even really, how can you get upset about this? And why can you even pay any of this shit any attention? Because it's like, dog, how can you take somebody like that serious? If I'm just being honest, like, it just, to me, it don't realistically, it makes no sense for you to sit here and get upset or even listen to it and be like, oh, you know, like, like, you should stay woke and pay attention. Like, man, this nigga, like, bro, he ain't, to me, I can't take him serious. I can't take him serious. I can't pay him no attention. I cannot realistically get upset about anything he got to say about politics, because realistically, I just don't think he is even, I just can't. Just me personally. And I just think realistically, you shouldn't allow your kids to take any political advice or any political motivation from NBA YoungBoy. That's just, I guess I got one more piece on what's going on in the world, and then we can kind of get back into something else.
It's Anthony. Just a day after 7 House Democrats voted to fund ICE, ICE has murdered another American citizen in broad daylight. Let's talk about it. This is Alex Jeffrey Peretti, a 37-year-old Veteran Affairs ICU nurse that was shot and killed by ICE in Minneapolis today while legally observing and protesting ICE operations in the city, as per his First Amendment rights. While observing, Peretti was also wearing a holstered firearm that he had a legal permit to carry, as per his Second Amendment rights. The firearm is at the center of the latest murder, as ICE is claiming that Peretti had, quote, approached them with a handgun with the, quote, intent to massacre law enforcement, and that he was shot after a violent struggle to remove the gun. All of which is nothing but blatant lies and gaslighting of the nation, because, as with Renee Good's murder just 2 weeks ago, there are multiple videos of the incident that show the truth. That Peretti was assisting a nearby protester who was knocked down by ICE agents when he was pepper sprayed, wrestled to the ground by multiple agents, disarmed, and then shot 10 times. And notice that I say disarmed and then shot, because there's about a 3-second gap in the video between when an agent runs off with Peretti's gun and when the other agents shoot him, which clearly contradicts any claims of self-defense from the multiple officers that had, you know, tackled him to the ground and restrained him. And at no point before he was tackled to the ground does Peretti ever threaten the officers or draw his gun. So Peretti was murdered for lawfully carrying a firearm while peacefully protesting to constitutionally protected rights. And as journalist Susan Glasser put it so eloquently on X, the final act of his life was trying to help a woman who was being physically assaulted by the masked agents who would then kill him. To make things even worse, in the hours since Freddie's murder, Bondi has sent a letter to Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, basically extorting the state, saying that Walz could, quote, restore the rule of law, aka get rid of the federal agents terrorizing the state, if only Minnesota, among other things, released its voter registration data to Trump's DOJ, presumably so that the DOJ can then use that data to further surveil and persecute registered Democrats in the state. So what can we do about it? First, call your senators immediately. The DHS funding bill passed the House last night, but still has to go through the Senate. There has already been a response to the recent shooting in the Senate, with several senators changing their votes to no, and it's important that we keep the pressure on to block the bill. Second, it's time to get out on the streets. There will be protests across the nation tonight and tomorrow, and you can check websites like mobilize.us or check with groups like Indivisible and Action Network to find protests near you. And finally, because protests are no longer enough, we need to get a nationwide strike going. Yesterday, Minnesota showed us that it can be done, and it's time for the rest of the nation to wake up and stand with them. Not just for Renee or Alex or the hundreds of others that are dead in ICE custody, but because if we don't act now, there will be no one left to act for us. Hey,
so again, like I said, just that is something I believe that we should just make a little bit normal. Just the same way it's easy to make Ari and Jada Wade or whoever, or what's the Rolly, and I don't want to sit here and single some of these women out, but the same way you can make people on Zeus Network super popular. I do think that a lot of these people who take time, because I mean, of course, let's be clear, most of us are super busy. So you take in your news and your political stuff via social media. So help make some of these people share their platforms, help them grow their platforms. So they are doing the hard work. They're breaking it down. They're making it in short form videos so you can kind of get educated and you can know what's going on and you can stay up to date with what's going on. You should make these people just as popular as Ari, just as popular as Jada Wade or anybody on Zeus Network, Natalie Nunn, any of those people. So realistically, that to me would be my pushback to people who are upset about NBA YoungBoy sitting here saying he's supporting whatever Trump got going on. NBA YoungBoy should be the last person that gets you upset about his political point of view. What else is going on in the world? Let's make it a little bit lighter. What the fuck is this? That was for this. Real quick.
Two rappers understand something about marketing that most artists overlook. Optimizing for reach gets you numbers in the short term, but optimizing for access builds a loyal core fan base in the long term. IDK just released his new mixtape, Even the Devil Smiles, and he sold out of his CDs that came with a CD player that cost $500. Every single CD came with a unique one-of-one bonus track that nobody else would own. And prior to releasing the music video to Super Buick featuring Westside Boogie, Ben Riley created his own video game. It's called Jump Before You Fly, and it's available on his website, savebenriley.com. Once you hit a certain score, the game unlocked the music video early before it was made public today on YouTube. In a digital age where there's so much music and attention is scarce, the real currency is fandom. And both of these experiential marketing strategies turn access into the product and deepen the artist's connection with their core fan base. These two rappers understand something about marketing that most...
While we talk about music, we talk about marketing. Shout out to Summer Walker. Summer Walker has dropped her dates for her tour. I believe she's coming in the DMV area. I want to say it was it June 8th or was it June 18th, I think, or May 18th? Or maybe it might have been July. I can't remember. I apologize, Summer Walker. But anyway, Summer Walker is going on tour after dropping her latest album, and she will be having Mona Leo on tour with her. Y'all know I love Mona Leo. But I'm putting you down. She got Mona Leo, and she has, what's the young man who was on City on Fire on Wale's project? I forgot how he pronounced his name, but he also is on tour with them too. So Summer Walker will have a nice little joint. And I like that she ain't in a super crazy big venue. She is in the joint in Baltimore. What is that called? Ramhead? What is that? Eagle Head or Ramhead? I forgot what it's called in Baltimore, but y'all know it's a smaller venue. I believe that venue hold maybe like 5,000 to like 7,500 people. I guess because we did play Amanda Seales, I do kind of want to play Amanda Seales again, just because last week on here, I was talking about how much I liked kind of the videos that was going viral of the gentleman in Philadelphia who was representing the Black Panthers, because he had that little crazy little punchline. Someone, if somebody touch me, I'm gonna put a hole in his chest like a window, something, whatever, little progressive, whatever, one of them little cool, little clever things he said. Literally right after I played that video, then again, that's why, I mean, of course, sometimes for some people, Amanda Seales is almost like a strong glass of liquor. You might got to chase it down a little bit because you may not be able to drink that shot every day, because Amanda Seales can become a lot for some people if you're trying to take her in every day. But when Amanda Seales is right and she on point, she's on point. So I do want to play this clip of Amanda Seales, and then I also will play a clip of a lady who is actually related to one of the original Black Panther members. So to kind of they was giving it a little bit of pushback, and then to come to find out, I believe Amanda Seales did a little bit of homework and said, "Oh boy, that was going viral." The light skinned dude kind of with like the curly hair a little bit, sitting here saying that he was like trying to be like a rapper or something. So I don't necessarily know. That's why sometimes on social media you have to be a little bit careful and pay a lot of attention on, again, people that you kind of give a platform too fast or too soon.
So it's not weird to y'all at all that all of a sudden there's a Black Panther chapter in Philly that is posting videos like every day with a dude that none of us have ever worked with before? That's not weird to y'all? It's not weird to y'all that the algorithm is just pushing that through? It's not weird to y'all that they're showing the faces of the individuals who are recruits and who are working with them? Meanwhile, the people they're fighting against are not showing their faces? That's not odd to y'all? It's not odd to y'all that when you look in the comments, it's a bunch of people commenting who have never worked with them before, who have never said anything about them before. Like, they're praising them because, of course, we all want inspiration and we all want to feel like, okay, folks are stepping up and protecting. But like, if someone can show me, track record, I'll shut up. For real, I will. I can't see. I don't see track record. Like to me, it don't look like the beginning of a movement. It looks like a marketing rollout for an album. That's what it looks like to me from my experience in entertainment. I'm just like the constant psyop is something that I'm always cognizant of, and when I'm seeing that, it's ringing bells like penitentiary cells. Like so feel free to course correct me. I'm just speaking honestly about my spidey sensory, and I don't like it. Now, were these questions to be answered, only one of two things can happen. Either one, we see that, okay, this is some phony baloney, or two, we see that, okay, there's something real going on that more people can get involved with. So there's really no short side to this inquiry. Power to the people.
All right, real quick, because I did sit here and say I was talking about Summer Walker's date, and I do prefer to be a little bit more trying to give people some news and give people information. So I do real quick. Summer Walker tour date in the DMV area. It will be in Baltimore June 9th at 7:30, and it is at the Eagle Bank Arena. I believe the Eagle Bank do hold around 10,000 people. If you're in the Philadelphia area, she will be there June 5th at the Xfinity Mobile Arena. That's not where the Sixers play. I thought that joint was called the Wells Fargo Arena. Maybe unless they changed it. And also in Chicago, that is in the United Center. Now that is where the Chicago Bulls play. That's the Memorial Day weekend. That's May 29th. She'll be in Detroit on the 31st. And she'll be in New York on June 2nd, Boston June 7th, Charlotte June 10th, Atlanta June 12th, Miami June 14th, Dallas in June 17th, and Austin the 18th, Houston the 21st, and she'll be in LA on the 25th and the 26th. She'll be in Vegas. So again, those are the Summer Walker tour dates. I rather just let me be professional just a little bit. But again, going back into the Black Panther situation, I do want to play that clip of the lady who was affiliated with the Black Panthers, because she definitely has some smoke as well. And that's, again, like I said, you get, that's one, you know what, I text a homegirl of mine and I was like, man, this is kind of why I mind my business with like the super woke the black conversation sometimes with some of these people, because they be a little bit too smart and they don't allow a lot of people to kind of play in their realm. So if you really gonna be on your super pro black shit, or you gonna be super like an educational black and super woke, you kind of got to be on your P's and Q's, and you got to be able to walk it like you talk it, because you will see people always challenge your purity. If you really about what you're talking about, are you really walking it like you preach it? Are you really who you say you are. You will see people give you pushback from. I seen it with Deontay Cal. You see it with Mark Lamont Hill. You kind of just trust and believe. Nobody's going to. I even see it with Amanda Seals, and I mean not Amanda Seals, but Angela Ryan them on the Native Land podcast. Trust and believe. That space is just as competitive as the music business, as the sports industry. Everybody wants to be number one, and in that space, you kind of, to me, you got to be even a little bit more sharper than you got to be with the music situation, because music is kind of like, it's how you feel about music. So your music opinion can kind of be on point with some people, but with these spaces, you kind of really got to be him.
I'm going to try to make this video as calmly as possible. My name is Maisha Newton. My father's name was Walter Newton. He was the brother of Huey Percy Newton, who started the Black Panther Party in Oakland, California. Okay? My handle name is Maisha 415 Newton. If you don't believe me, we just came out with the second book, The Roots of the Revolutionary Suicide. This is the roots of Huey P. Newton, okay? That's my father, okay? These are our grandparents, okay? There go Huey right there, okay? I got birth certificate paperwork and a whole bunch of Newtons who are ready to, listen, this goes out to the Black Panther Party, the new United Black Panther Party, whoever's out there protesting with these Somalians. I'm about to get a cease and desist order against you, and I'm about to sue you because you guys are... You are not going to defame my uncle's name like that. We're not doing that. See you in court, bitches. All you space monkey, porch monkey ass motherfuckers sitting there trying to represent the Black Panthers. We are not doing that. Y'all ain't no Black Panthers. What y'all, the cartoon motherfucking character? Y'all don't even know your fucking history. Y'all sitting out there and want to fight for an illegal who's taking away your housing, your benefits, kicking you out of your motherfucking shit, and you want to get up there and act like this is, we ain't doing this. And the cold part about it is that little space monkey up there talking about, oh, you come up over here, we gonna do this. Nigga, you's a mark. You a mark, okay? That's right. Coming straight from a real Newton. You a mark ass motherfucker. And guess what? Your day of running around here pretending and wanting to be a Panther, a Black Panther, the Black Panther Party is over. Watch this, player, coming for you.
Again, like I said, I don't know what's real. I don't know who to believe. I'm just playing the information. And you can do with the information what you want. I guess in other news, real quick, I probably should have talked about this in the sports part when we were talking about the NFL. So realistically, and I don't know how and why this information is coming out. I kind of feel like I do, but I feel like it may land in the conspiracy theory world. So basically, it's rumors that Bad Bunny will be or performing in a dress during his Super Bowl halftime performance. And the reason why I say I should have tied that in when I was talking about the NFL, and I was talking about the scores and how bad, like the Patriots versus Broncos was a snooze fest. I feel like this information is leaked because, of course, it becomes where people saying, oh, we boycotting the Super Bowl halftime. I even seen Trump post something about saying he wasn't going to watch the halftime performance of Bad Bunny. And of course, you're going to tie it into the dress, and you're going to see people on the internet saying, oh, see, they're trying to demasculate the male masculinity and this, that, and the third. Can we be real? Can we be honest? Realistically, whatever one of these teams, let me see what the score is right now for the Seahawks and Rams. Because to me, it kind of, at this point, it don't matter. The score is what, 31? The score 31-27. It's 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Even if it's the Patriots and the Rams, Patriots and the Seahawks, man, too many people, unless you're just a diehard football fan or you just got to watch the Super Bowl because it's the Super Bowl, 9 times out of 10, you probably really wasn't going to watch it anyway. You know why? Because the sports media does a horrible job at promoting all teams and all players equally. So realistically, the biggest name player to the casual football fan will be going into this weekend is Stephon Diggs. You know why? Because Stephon Diggs just had a baby with Cardi B. So guess what, the NFL and ESPN, because they already did it last week when the Patriots beat the Houston Texans, you try to use Cardi B, use clips of Cardi B, sitting here spazzing, I'll put it on ESPN, da-da-da-da. So now, realistically, you're trying to water down the halftime show, because why did I not know what Kendrick Lamar or Usher the year before that, or Rihanna, because nobody didn't even know who Rihanna was going to bring out. The people kept assuming who she may bring out, or she may bring out Jay-Z because Jay-Z picks the halftime performance. None of us knew none of these things, all of these hypotheticals, even when the playlist came out for Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime thing. Everybody was always wrong. So how do y'all know already that Bad Bunny is planning to wear a dress? I feel like you're trying to step on Bad Bunny's halftime performance before the performance even comes. Because most people listen, somebody like myself, I don't know no Bad Bunny songs. The only Bad Bunny song I know is, guess what? The song with him and Cardi B. I don't care, and I'm not even going to lie. I really don't care about watching the Super Bowl. It's not nothing to do with Bad Bunny. Cool. I don't have no beef with him because I don't listen to his music. So I don't know if it's good or if it's bad. But what I'm telling you is I don't care about them teams. I know them teams is all bad. Even though they're going to make it to the Super Bowl, I don't give a flying F about the Patriots or the Rams or the Seahawks. And 9 times out of 10, unless you just a fucking sports fanatic, you don't care about none of them teams neither, unless they already was your team before they got to the Super Bowl. These teams are not the teams that's going to sit here and make you be like, oh, because you can't even let's be clear, even when it comes to sports, it's a little bit of race component. People like to dabble in. Let's just be honest. If it's the black guy and a white guy, like we did it last year with the Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes is black when he playing a white person. But when he playing another brother like Jalen Hurts, most black people pick a side unless you are a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So you rooted for Jalen Hurts because Patrick Mahomes' wife, his family, his mom, they was all MAGA, this and the third. So it was easy for black people to root against the Kansas City Chiefs. Cool. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, same thing. You see it play out with sports media after Josh Allen wet the bed last week. You seen how all the white niggas was catering and coddling Josh Allen. So all the black people calling out for Lamar Jackson. That's it. It's there. It's there in the WNBA. It's there with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. People like their sports with a little bit of racism. You've seen it all the time in boxing. So again, with all that being said, hey, the Super Bowl realistically gonna have you a bunch of mediocre ass white boys playing. That shit ain't gonna get nobody out of bed. I watched ESPN even leading up to the games. You know how hard it was for them to even talk about the games. It was about we talking about the NFC Championship and the AFC Championship. It was so hard for them to talk about them. They didn't realistically even start talking about them games until damn near Thursday and Friday because all week long they were talking about Josh Allen and the Bills. Because why? Because those quarterbacks and those players are the bigger draw. They're the bigger headline. People get people upset. People to talk about it. Why? Because it has a little bit of racism attached to it. The Broncos, the Patriots, none of that shit has it attached to it. Sorry. So people not going to really care. So that's why you leak out this conversation about Bad Bunny to get people outraged a little bit to start the conversation around the Super Bowl. You can call it a conspiracy theory, but I'm just laying out the facts. You can do what you want with that information. What else is going on in the world? Let's go. I like this breakdown from Young Jock.
We're taught quantity. Women are taught quality. Okay. How many Barbie dolls is a girl gonna have? You might get a black. You're gonna get you the main Barbie because that's what the. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get into it. The main Barbie, and then somebody, mama or a friend or sister's gonna be like, get her a black Barbie. She's gonna have a. She might have 2, right? You don't get a. You might have another kind of doll, but it ain't a Barbie. You're gonna have that one Barbie. Barbie might get a boyfriend. She's gonna have a one Ken. You accessorize Barbie. You don't get a bunch of Barbies. You, on the other hand, little boy, Rowdy Piper, Macho Man, Hulk Hogan, Junkyard Dog. You get the quantity. You get more than one. You got a collection. She's gonna get that one dog. You get a bag of toy soldiers. She gets one little thing. You get a 6-pack of Hot Wheels.
A couple games.
She get a bike. You get skates and a skateboard. And a 10-speed this year, 12-speed if you big enough. Your underwear. Right now, grown man, if you ain't going designer, you got 5 in a pack. Her, she always buying 1 at a time. Because it has to be quality, it has to hold up. She's gonna buy a penny and her bra. You're gonna go get your wife beater, sir. You're not gonna get it 1 at a time. You're gonna get a pack of 3 to 6. Everything you do is gonna come in an assortment because your mind is engaged differently. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Boy, I'm there.
You sit down for Christmas. You give your girl $20,000. Here you go, baby. Go get some. She been saying how she want clothes and this and that. And you like, 20, she set. Man, she come home with 1 pair of shoes and a bag for 20. You be like, what is you doing? You could have bought, baby, hold on, whoa. You could have bought, we're talking.
Hey, dog, I don't care how you feel about Young Jock. That may have been one of the greatest breakdowns I've ever heard about just life in general. Like that right there, when you sit here saying, like, again, especially for somebody like me, I always sit here and say, like, relationship conversation and these type of conversations are low-hanging fruit unless you bring a new type of way to dress it up. And what Young Jock did is absolutely maybe one of the greatest breakdowns I've ever heard. I'm not even gonna hold you. And I'm glad he got a regular haircut. He just in an all black suit. So it ain't nothing extra sassy or nothing about it where you can sit here in real life, really digest what he said. Because if you being honest, especially as a kid, I grew up with me and my cousin was damn near like that's my sister. We literally like only a few months apart. And that little Barbie analogy he had was probably, dog, you think about it. Like when he said that, I'm like, it made me think like, damn, my cousin probably had like one Barbie house. The Barbie house was big as hell. You only had maybe, like he said, maybe a handful of Barbies, and maybe somebody eventually will end up sitting here saying, hey, you get a black Barbie. Or when Barbie started to do the ones that kind of had like themes behind them, and those might have not never even got open. They just got like was become collector's items because towards like a kid, like a little boy, you tell me you get a super Royal Rumble wrestling rings, the SummerSlam wrestling rings, the steel cages. Like when he really broke it down like that, I really started to think about my childhood and the comparisons on how I played with toys compared to my cousin. And we literally just months apart in age and literally went from elementary school to high school together. So like literally every step of the way, I kind of really get to see you. And when he was explaining, I'm just thinking and comparing. I'm like, damn, that's really a great comparison. And even when he broke it down to the underwear situation, like think about it as a man, if you're not really buying some crazy, stupid, expensive underwear, you just go into Walmart or Target and just grab the cheapest pair. Realistically, you be honest, until you really learn, like, all right, I can't go to what's the Jones that everybody kind of crucify people for now. But back in the day, they became popular in the hood because what was it? The Jones, the Jones I'm talking about, with it looked like damn near like a picnic table cover Jones. The Jones, the little box, they got all the little stripes on them Jones. No, but you don't wear them no more because you just know the way they feel, they just completely too cheap. Like people will laugh you out the gym if you have them on now. You just disrespecting your own body if you put them on. But you learned that because you bought them because they were so cheap. Them Jones would be like damn near like 10 in a pack for like $10. But that's how men kind of realistically, you buy your undergarments until you figure out some of them just too cheap. And that's why it's so many in a pack and you don't buy them. But realistically, you find the sweet spot where it may be six pair in there for like $15. Where women, like you just sit here and say, like, think about for women how excited they would get when Victoria's Secret would do the 5 for 25. Like that was a big deal for women because they realistically, what he just said is like they so used to just buying one at a time. So when Victoria's Secret did we got the specials going on, 5 pair underwear for $25, it was a big deal for women at that time because realistically, they used to have to spend more money for better quality. So again, like I said, shout out to Young Jock. That to me was probably one of the best breakdowns I've ever heard Young Jock ever say anything out of his mouth. I guess we talked about movies earlier. Let's go to this real quick.
Murphy proved just how racist Hollywood still was, even in 1992. And despite this movie being a cultural staple, it still doesn't get the recognition it deserves. Boomerang came out in 1992. It was a romantic comedy directed by Reginald Hudlin, and it featured one of the best lineup of black actors and comedians from the early 90s. It starred Eddie Murphy, Robin Givens, Halle Berry, Martin Lawrence, David Allen Greer, and even featured Tisha Campbell, Grace Jones, a young Chris Rock, and the OG Eartha Kitt. With a lineup like that, there's no way this movie wasn't a massive success, right? Right? Well, despite it doing pretty decent at the box office, Hollywood wasn't very fond of this movie. It wasn't because the movie wasn't good or funny, because it was great and hilarious, actually. Hollywood did not like this movie because they referred to it as, and I quote, a reverse world, and that the film was highly unrealistic based on the cast and what they did for a living. In the movie, Eddie Murphy played a character named Marcus Graham, who was the top executive of a very successful marketing firm. Robin Givens was also an executive at that same firm. They wore suits, they drove nice cars, lived in penthouse apartments, highly professional and very well spoken. Nobody played the typical comedic relief side character. There wasn't nothing hood or ghetto about this movie at all. This was a cast of black people in 1992, right in the middle of the movie epidemic. Just a clean, elegant, and professional look of black people. And Hollywood said, hell no. This movie was slandered by critics as soon as they heard about it. And despite it being a romantic comedy, Hollywood never really considered it as such. So while other white romantic comedies that came out around the same time, Boomerang pretty much got buried, which seemed to be a growing trend amongst other black rom-coms because none of them really seemed to gain the massive success that they probably deserved. Now, if you're black, especially if you grew up in the 90s, I'm almost certain that you've probably seen this movie at least 100 times. But outside of the community, I'm not sure if people really know about this movie. Now, what's Hollywood's beef with seeing black people not act a fool for once? I ain't 100% sure, but that's the exact reason why to them, Boomerang will never be classified as what it truly is, which is one of the greatest rom-coms of all time.
So real quick, just because shout outs I can't see, and y'all know I'm a little bit blind, so I can't really see the comments. But just real quick, just for just that conversation and kind of going back into a conversation that I had, what was that, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, when we were talking about just why to me sometimes those awards aren't important, because even just the way he just broke it down about like Boomerang. Think about for us in the black community, especially if you are a certain age group, how classic and how elite that movie was so classic and so elite. People kind of really was watching the revamped version on BET when BET bought it back. Maybe what was that, like right before the pandemic? I can't remember exactly the time they bought it around. Just because they renamed it Boomerang and they were supposed to be the kids or whatever the case may be of Eddie Murphy and them. And they played off of their characteristics. I just think sometimes when we put too much oomph into like the awards or what other people like, we kind of forget what was important to us and why we like certain things. So I even just that video right there is one of the reasons why I wanted to play it, because I know for a fact like Boomerang was one of them movies, like when you was a kid you loved it, when you probably got a little bit older you watched it again, and that's one of them Jones ways, like if we being honest, like that's one of them Jones, like if this like a first link and you kind of really cool with somebody and y'all trying to catch a vibe, that's one of them movies you kind of know you can never go wrong with cutting on. You can just kind of let Boomerang just play almost damn near like how people let music just kind of just play in the background and just let it vibe out. Boomerang is definitely one of them movies as in a black household you could literally just let it vibe out. And while we talking about movies and talking about like just the way Hollywood kind of do stuff, I do want to play this clip I seen floating around on social media.
LA is now producing brands over movies. Everywhere you go, they've moved production to like shorts, you know, to launch like the Lemmy creatine or like Courtney doing truffle. Like Hollywood production is now about selling products, not selling movie tickets. And it's a really fascinating change. And it's why all these celebrities are getting into it, is now their status is tied to who has the most successful brands, because the industry isn't enough.
The problem with celebrities is they get used to having a bunch of fart catchers, ass kissers, and apple polishers around them who are just worshiping them. But if you're going to move into a celebrity brand, somebody's got to sit you down and say, you got to start doing this. It's not good enough what you did in the past.
Celebrities have a celebrity brand. Jennifer Aniston with Lolavi, Jennifer Lopez with her brand, Scarlett Johansson with her skincare brand. What do you know about these people? We all know who they are. I don't know what Jennifer Aniston like does on the weekend. I don't know what she eats. I don't know how she like makes decisions. I don't know how J-Lo works out.
Some of these actors, celebrities who are doing this need to know, and they need better advisors, is if you're an actor, nobody really knows who you are because you're acting.
Yes, your
Right?
characters.
So if you're going to create a celebrity beauty brand based on your acting, you have to commit to allowing people to get to know what you're really about.
Social media has corrupted the idea that you really did matter the most when everyone could just turn on the TV and all that they could watch were these people. But now it's not about those people as much as it is Alex Earl and Campbell Hunt Puckett. And we've now diversified who matters. And that's why I think that there's so many celebrity brands, is they're trying to maintain this like I matter, like I'm important. Not only am I a singer and a movie star, but I also have a blush brand, you know, like it's this idea that they need to keep striving to be at the center point of relevance. LA is now.
So real quick, the reason why I played that is for two reasons. And I wish I was a little bit more paying attention. I should have played this when I was having a conversation about Nike earlier, because it made me sit here and think about when I'm listening to them and they're explaining like how some of these celebrity brands kind of really don't take off as fast as maybe if it's just somebody, just a random person who builds up a brand via social media. Like they become super popular on TikTok, but they're building their brand at the same time on whatever product they may be selling. Like perfect example, I hate when I say this when I'm describing her, but Meek Mill's baby mom, she got a clothing line, but she realistically kind of was building up her clothing line the same way she was building up her popularity via social media. And the reason why I said tie that into Nike, because think about for when we was talking about shoes and comfortability, where Nike's kind of missing, because Nike's bigger shoes and most popular shoes are realistically their basketball shoes. And the reason why they disconnect with everything else, because the regular person moves normal everyday conversation. So, oh, hey, man, I need more shoes that's more comfortable on my feet. So guess who you have these conversations with? You can't have that conversation with LeBron or Kevin Durant or some super celebrity. You have that conversation with your everyday person that you may follow via social media, and y'all may share workout videos or y'all may go to the same gym. Because even when it came to like something like when they sit here saying basically comparing the celebrity brand towards the regular person brand, I'm comparing Nikes to Hokas. I see more regular people out on the street, outside and running. Like you in DC, and if you ever look down, I'm somebody who just people watch in general. So you see a group of people just running, and you look at all of their feet. 90% of the time, especially in a big group of white people, if you look down at all of their feet, 9 times out of 10, 80% of the group got on Hokas. The other 20%, maybe 10 out of them got on some Nike or some other off-brand, and the other 10 got on Brooks. And that's just kind of, but those people realistically are your everyday people who are outside running every day. So they are promoting Hokas without trying to promote them. On social media, that's why you see that conversation. Think about it, even on social media, how many of you just pay attention to like workout influencers. The crazy thing is I hate all of their feet wear. Most of them, like, especially people who don't like do cardio and they just like on, but all of them wear Converse. And just think that's a subconscious thing that people see because these are people that you follow every day. So just think about the women that you see that work out and they do the RDLs or they do the little squats. 90% of them all the time, unless the ones who really put effort into their outfits, so they may do the little scrunchy socks with some cool sneakers, but most of them, 90% of the time, always got on Converse. And you just think about, like, because of course the shoe is super flat, so they say you get more, grown when you're doing your leg exercises or whatever the case may be. But that's still subconsciously, you followed enough people and seen them wear Converse and do these same type of workouts. So guess what you did subconsciously? Went and bought yourself some Converse compared to a celebrity where they only, post when, again, like the LA thing, when certain shit is just super edited and super produced all well. So that means they don't post a lot. So that means you don't see their product as much as you do the everyday person who just sometimes their gym outfits may not even match, but they in the gym every day. And you paying attention to them because you're watching their content on a day-to-day basis, maybe 3 or 4 times a day. So they're promoting you a lifestyle, not even promoting you a product. And that's why those people end up sitting here getting sponsorships from some pre-workout thing or some whatever. Think about all the big gym supplement brands. 9 times out of 10, they use from your biggest super gym influencer to the smallest influencer, and they just give them a code and had them push product. You know why? Because these people are on social media every day, posting videos 4 or 5 times a day, building a community, and people in their community going to want to know, like, hey, what are you taking to get your body to look this certain way? What are you doing? You work a regular job. So, hey, what's the pre-workout that you taking to kind of give you that extra push to go to the gym after you work out? So that I should have honestly should have played that with the Nike thing, but I did like that I seen it again and got to play it and remember that. What else is going on in the world?
Would you pay the DJ every day?
$100
every day.
Yeah, play it twice a night, $100.
Why are artists doing this?
I'm doing what? They're not doing it because they smoking weed. They popping perks. You know what I'm saying? And they on the Instagram. But you have to do it all. You can't, if you on Say Cheese today, you can't post again next week. Now, like, it's so crazy. You have to put in your budget to spend $2,000 a week on blog site and $1,000 a week in the stream. If you ain't got $3,000 a week to spend, unless you go you super talented, super hard, go get your job.
So wait, so this is a good clip. So you would take an artist to Lil B Man Club in Ecstasy.
Yeah,
wait. And you would spend $200 a night.
Yeah.
So your song will be played twice.
No, $100 a night. Tell them here $100, 50-50. You go early and get. I want it kind of early and late, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you do that twice a week, 3 times a week.
Every night,
3 times a week. They do 3 times a week. Don't just go in there and they go like, damn, here he comes, this $100. Come on. You do 3 times a week, right? And then you Lil B, you tell Lil B, wherever spot that's jumping, I'm gonna pay you to take me to those spots. You know what I'm saying? Might add Spain, a runner to Spain, a runner that can go to the clubs with you, and you should be good in that.
But see, the thing is, when you're not there, how do you know they're still playing it?
You don't care about they still playing it when you're not there. You want to play it there, and you want to get the impression that who you are and how you are is somebody. And so now, when you at them strip clubs, the girls will start requesting. You know what I'm saying?
Mike Jones was telling me.
Yeah, the girls will start requesting it, and then what Lil B, he'll take you to the hood spots. In Spain, he'll take you to the hood spots.
D-Baby told me that's how he blew up, was straight going to the club. He said, if I wasn't at the club, my homeboys would go $25 to play my record.
Yeah.
That's how the song Mars blew up.
Yeah, and that's what you got to do. But then you got to run the internet too. If you do that, you have a machine behind you. You don't even need no label. You don't need no label at all. You have a machine behind you.
Would you pay?
I just wanted to play that. Of course, that is a clip off of Say Cheese interview with Rainwater. I do think that was a good piece of information because I do think a lot of people, especially in this day and age, don't work the music no more like they supposed to. Like they don't actually put in the groundwork and really actually build up a solid, like just build up some solid work ethic for themselves, to be honest. Oh man, another situation I should have played earlier when we was talking about football, because this is a little rumor that's floating around about the 49ers, and it's almost not even necessarily a rumor. It's kind of almost in the conspiracy theory world.
This could change college sports forever. Duke
Oh, this ain't
University.
the 49er one. This is the Duke jump. My bad. So I do want, let me play this one, and I will go back and play the 49ers jump. But yeah, here we go. My bad.
Is suing their star quarterback who just led them to an ACC title, Darian Mensah, to block him from entering the transfer portal. Yes, that's right. A school is trying to sue its own player to keep him from leaving. This all comes after Mensah announced in December he was returning to Duke, but then last week said he wants to leave and re-enter the transfer portal. Now, Duke says Mensah's reported multi-year $4 million NIL contract means he can't just transfer and violate the terms of his agreement. Despite the fact a judge denied an emergency restraining order request by Duke, Mensah's attorney says the quarterback currently cannot enroll to play at another school until the court rules. This is the latest test of a huge question in college sports. Are players employees or can they be free agents? Can these NIL deals lock in players like pro contracts do? Well, if Duke wins, schools will certainly gain more power. If Mensah wins, it seems like players can move to any school whenever they want. Well, this could change.
So real quick, I guess my thing and the reason why I agree with Duke on this situation is, one, because of course, I think you could feel two ways about it. Of course, do you want the kids to get paid? Absolutely. But I do think, again, what I'm saying, sometimes the parents need to step in. Is the reason why I say that is because think about if your kid just bounce around and just going to like whoever paid the most. Perfect example. Use the young boy from the quarterback from Miami. He already graduated, what he said 2 years ago, because it was a video going viral, and a news reporter was asking him, "Hey, did you have class or whatever?" He's like, "No, I graduated 2 years ago." He ended up getting paid $5 million this season that just passed for playing for the Miami Hurricanes. Cool. He got paid. He originally played for Georgia. That's fine. So he only played for 2 teams. But my whole point of what it is imagine if he would have sit here and played at one school, build yourself a legacy, and think about it, if he would have been in Miami them whole 4 years, and you because think about how many people was excited from like Michael Irvin and Ray Lewis and all them people was on the sideline, him bringing back the U, and it became a thing. Like if he still had one more year to come back and be able to take Miami back to a national championship or take them back to a playoff game, you become almost damn near. Look at, of course, Michael Irvin is Michael Irvin, so it may be a little bit different. But there are college players who are become iconic people in some of these small college towns where you never have to go get a job, like a real, like you ain't got to go get a warehouse job after your career if you never make it to the NFL. Because even for this young man to go to Duke, like let's be real, like Duke don't push out a bunch of, you like a hand, maybe like once in a blue moon, you'll get a quarterback that'll sit here and go to Duke and then make it to the NFL. But it's not like they pissing out NFL level quarterbacks. Because let's be clear, the quarterback position probably is one of the hardest positions to make from college to the NFL. Because you think about how many great college football quarterbacks it is, and then they never beat anything in the NFL, never even get no real playing time. But imagine if you would sit here and say, "I'm gonna stay," especially if Duke paying you some bread. Like let's sit here and say if you're getting paid $4 million a year. Or we can let's just say let's do 3. Let's make the math even a little bit easier. Let's sit here and say you're getting paid $3 million a year and you stay all 4 years and you end up making $12 million. To me, if I'm a parent and that's my kid, I can step in and tell my kid, "Dog, you can save this," because realistically, you can still be a regular college student, take all that bread. You're not buying no clothes, you're not buying no food, nothing. All of that shit is still free. So this is free money. You could literally graduate from college, you pay you whatever your taxes on it. Let's just say and say you pay your taxes, and after college you graduate and you got $8 million. But instead of you saying, and you got $8 million, and let's say if you actually have some good seasons, but you don't make it to the NFL, but you take this school to a different level and you become just like the greatest Duke quarterback of all times, but you don't make it to the NFL. I'm sure, guess what you can still do? 9 times out of 10, you can still come back to Duke and become a coach. Or you can go get on the local radio station and become get you a radio job on the sports radio station. Or you can do like back in the day, like most of these players used to sit here and end up getting them a car dealership or opening them like a bar. If you like in a real small town, you could sit here and start you a little bar, and it could be a spinoff of whatever your highest year was at that college, throwing wise or something like that. And people gonna come and support your bar because you were such a legendary quarterback at this college. But when you bouncing around from college to college, you're not building no legacy. And if you got to bounce around to that many different colleges, 9 times out of 10, you probably really ain't that good of a quarterback in the first place. If I'm just keeping it a bean, like nobody think about if you're comparing the 2 quarterbacks. And I seen the mock draft. I don't think what's the boy name? Whatever the quarterback name was for Miami, he wasn't on nobody's top of their leaderboard. It was Slim from Indiana who won it. He was supposed to be the #1 draft pick, and he probably go to the Raiders. And I want to say he'd been in Indiana for all 4 years. So just think about it. Carson Beck, this is his name, Carson Beck. He didn't got paid. He got endless bread bounced. You went from Georgia to Miami. You got paid, but you may not make it to the NFL. And if he do get drafted to the NFL, it's probably going to be a late draft pick. And you're going to be a bench player. But imagine if he could have stayed at one college like Miami, built you up a real reputation. Think about how people love people who went to Miami, the University of Miami. Think about just how big they are in that area and just in the football college atmosphere. So again, that would be something, if I was a parent, I would kind of push my kid to just like, if you're going to get paid, just get paid and stay at one college. Like, I mean, whatever you're going to do and you're going to make happen, it's going to happen there, or it just ain't going to happen for you at all. That's just my personal opinion on it. I'm so mad that I let this go this far in a conversation. Listen, I forgot to talk about. Listen, we here now. In the DMV area, a lot of people have given pushback to this. It's called, what is it called? The Fear, and they have, of course, they got one in Las Vegas already, and I believe that one hold a lot of people though. It may hold like close to like 10,000-20,000 people. They hold a lot of people. I believe this one is going to be like a smaller version of that. It may hold like 5,000, maybe like 7,500. And people are giving it pushback. Some people are down for it and they like it because some people like me don't like going to DC. So it's like, oh, cool. You give Maryland more venues. So like smaller people, like let's say if Summer Walker was coming and this was already up, instead of her going to Baltimore, she could go right here and perform there, and people could go see her there instead of going to the Anthem in DC trying to look for parking and this and the third, where realistically there is better parking in that National Harbor area. So I do want to play this clip, and then I think I may have a couple of other people giving their opinion on it as well.
So we know this right here is still the talk of the town. A lot of you have a lot of follow-up questions about the Sphere, the mini Sphere coming to the National Harbor in Prince George's County. My name is Alexis Wainwright, and I cover Prince George's County. So let's get to some of the follow-up questions that you guys have. Many of you have been asking about jobs. Will there be more jobs included in this? The answer is yes. I spoke with County Executive Aisha Braveboy, and during our one-on-one conversation, she confirmed that there will be over 4,700 jobs in this project. Now, some of them will be construction jobs. We also, again, asked her, hey, that sounds like a lot of jobs, but she said because this venue will be used year round, she says there will be a lot of opportunities, especially for engineers and tech. Now, another question that has been asked is a timeline for all of this. Now, there is no specific timeline, but county leaders hope to have this done by 2030, which is also the same year that the Commanders will have their new stadium. Lastly, I know a lot of you have been in the comments asking, hey, we didn't necessarily ask for this. What about the grocery stores and more restaurants? I brought that up also to Braveboy. Take a listen to what she had to say.
This is not the only deal that my administration is working on. But let me just tell you, this is the caliber of deal that my administration is going to demand from those who want to do business in Prince George's County.
So we know this right here.
So, of course, like I said, that to me, I don't understand why so many people were trying to give, I guess, like pushback to it or acting like they didn't want the Fear to be here. Like I was kind of, I ain't gonna lie to you, I honestly was super confused on why people didn't want it to be here, because it seemed like that to me is something that is it just give you more venues, to give you chance to me, if you chance to see more live venues actually in the DMV area. Like that to me, I don't understand why people didn't want it to be here, because it's just, I'd rather go there and then go to the Anthem. Like, what the fuck do I want to go to the Anthem? I just personally don't want to go.
On July 31st, 1960.
That was Martin Luther King. It was a back and forth to, I really ain't gonna lie to you. I don't care about the Don Lemon, Nicki Minaj shit, to be honest. Like, I'm cool on Nicki Minaj. I ain't even gonna hold y'all.
It's MLK weekend, and I don't know if you know, but this song is actually about Dr. King. So let's talk about how Stevie Wonder created the classic Black happy birthday song that we all know and love to help turn Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday into the federal holiday we're celebrating this weekend. After MLK was assassinated in 1968, Congressman John Connors immediately pushed for MLK Day, but year after year, the bill kept getting blocked. In response to this resistance, Stevie Wonder stepped in and used his voice. He penned his own version of the happy birthday song to honor Dr. King and put it on his 1981 album, Hotter Than July. Now, on the surface, the song is joyful and cheerful, but if you really listen, it low-key.
Again, I probably realistically, I'll be apologizing. Sometimes I'll be having these clips up too far in advance and I kind of ain't even see what I'm looking at. So I did want to play that. I probably realistically should have played that a little bit earlier in the episode. I do want to go most hated NBA players. Tell me who you think would be number one. I think pretty much you probably, if you're on the internet enough, you kind of already know who number one going to be.
The top 10 most hated players in NBA history. Via the big lead, Draymond Green has to be number 4. Draymond Green is number 2 on the list. Oh, pretty close. 4 would be low. I'm going to say Dennis Rodman's number 1. Dennis Rodman is number 5 on the list. Dang. LeBron James. LeBron James is number 1 on the list. Most hated player in NBA history. You got to respect the GOAT. Michael Jordan's not on there. Michael Jordan did not make the list. Kobe should be on the most loved list, so he's not on there. Kobe Bryant is number 6 on the list. What? I think because he was like mean to his teammates, very polarizing player. It's ridiculous. So focused and dialed in on the game. It's ridiculous, Zach. Karl Malone. Karl Malone is not on the list. The mailman. He delivers. Bill Laimbeer. Bill Laimbeer. Come on. The mean piston. He's number 4. Here we go. Let's cook. Da-da-da. Dwight Howard. Dwight Howard is number 7 on the list. Who's the guy who never plays? Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid is number 8 on the list. Crybaby himself. Who's a controversial point guard? John Morant. Close. Played very similar. This guy came before him. Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook is number 9 on the list. I think the hate for Russ is a little too much. I love Russ. You need 2 players. Both current. One's got one of the best nicknames of all time. Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is number 3 on the list. I think joining the Warriors tanked his stock. The Slim Reaper. My favorite player of all time. You need number 10, similar to Draymond Green. Dylan frickin' Brooks. Dylan frickin' Brooks. He's number 10 on the list.
Real quick, just on to that list, and the reason why I wanted to play that, because shout out to Kevin Durant. I swear to God, the older Kevin Durant, because let's be clear, and I kind of be wondering for some people like Caleb Williams, the older Caleb Williams get, would you sit here and see Caleb Williams become more DMV? Because I feel like Kevin Durant, like if you listen to Kevin Durant now, or you see Kevin Durant have his little moments where he kind of crash out via Twitter or even real live at the game, because he just had a back and forth with some people at the Detroit Pistons game. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to play this clip, because Kevin Durant, slowly but surely, the older he gets, boy, that DMV PG County accent, slang, and behavior jumps out of his body every chance he get. Anytime Kevin Durant get pissed off, you can clear as day see he is from C Pleasant. Like, it is no even denial to that. So I kind of be wondering a little bit like, damn, the older Caleb Williams get, I wonder will he kind of like lean a little bit more into his PG County accent and behavior a little bit more. What was some other big things that was kind of going on? What was this?
Sit on the most.
Oh yeah, them seats was high as hell. I should have talked about that last week, but I didn't. So screw it. Where we at right now? Let's go.
Kids today will never understand the pain of realizing there's no blockbuster VHS case behind the movie you wanted to see.
It was real pain.
You would see it from across the Blockbuster. If you were walking straight on the new release section, there's like sometimes the new releases, there'd be 2 whole sections. When like Jurassic Park dropped or something, you'd see it and you'd be like, well, I can see there's clearly like 80 movies right here. It's got to be here.
Yeah.
You'd walk up, every one of them's flat.
Flat.
No white Blockbuster box behind it. And you already knew, all right, well, I'm not getting what I actually wanted.
When you saw the flat row, you're like, damn. And then you start looking over at the return area. Because there would be this little return area where you could get that movie. I remember being in a Blockbuster and hearing the fucking sound of someone dropping a VHS in and being like,
that sounded like Jurassic Park.
what was it? And you'd ask. I remember asking a lady, be like, hey, what was that? They
get annoyed because they get asked that all the time now.
Nope, that's not it. Shit. But I remember a few times it was the movie I needed. Perfect time.
It was like hitting the lottery.
Yeah, but that is so crazy that no one will even understand what that feeling. Like today, you can rent anything you want and watch anything you want. Like there was a time when that you went there to see Jurassic Park and you left knowing you ain't watching it.
No,
there's nowhere that you're going to be able to watch this movie. Nowhere.
Because it's no longer at the theaters.
You had to know someone who rented one of those. Oh, you got it? Yeah, they're sold out. I got one. And you'd be like, we're going over their house.
And if you couldn't get the one you wanted, first move you would do, you would look next to it. What's the next hottest thing? Because they were all right there.
It hurt your feelings because you're like, oh, fuck, I guess I'm going to watch this.
And then you end up with some movie you didn't really want.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
I ain't gonna lie to you. I do believe a lot of those things build character. And I think realistically, some of those things, you will never be able to install that level of character in your kid. And that's sad, to be honest. Because I'm not, every time I see one of these videos from these two gentlemen, like they relate to me so much, I be like, bro, I just got to play this week. I don't even have no real thought about it besides your kids won't never have that level of character built in them because they just never got to experience that type of stuff.
Alabama, no Georgia, no Nike. The dynasty era is over. NIL and the transfer portal have affected both the competition and the sneaker wars. Hey, I'm Jordan. I spent a decade in brand marketing at Nike, so if you love stuff like this, hit that follow button for more. Tonight's CFP matchup is not just about the field, it's about the end of Nike's 26-year dynasty in the CFP. 1998 was the last time Adidas had a national champion in American football, and Nike has won every other year except for 2010 when Auburn beat Oregon. Before, the Blue Blood programs who invested in the coaches and in the facilities were the ones who could compete and get all of the recruits. But now, any program who has a rabid fan base and a rabid booster base who has deep pockets can compete while bidding for the talent. The days of a five-star quarterback sitting on the bench waiting for his time are over. We have Indiana and Miami and Carson Beck, who came from a blue blood program like Georgia to go down to Miami, where they can now be competitive. This also mimics some of the dynamics in the sneaker wars. Nike's market cap is nearly 2 times the size of Adidas's, but Adidas has been building for several years now. They've had to make strategic bets. One of those is on the most marketable athlete in the NFL, Patrick Mahomes. While Nike has the entire league and many of the most marketable athletes, Adidas picked the one athlete who has been the most dominant. They've then parlayed that into really innovative deals with Texas Tech, leveraging the NIL program, and even signing deals with schools like Tennessee. Adidas almost cracked the code a couple of years ago when they signed Michael Penix and Rome Odunze to a program like University of Washington, where they already had the deal there. It's important because you get to show the school marks and the athletes in context on field, which is where their most power is. They have another opportunity to do that now with Fernando Mendoza. They have the Heisman Trophy winner. They've done some great campaigns with him so far. So tonight, if Indiana wins, look for a Fernando Mendoza-led asset to celebrate this win. And if it's Miami, you'll look for something that's probably more team-associated and less focused on the quarterback, since they don't have a specific deal with him. Nike's dynasty may be over. The tier 2 programs can actually finally compete. I think ultimately this is good for the sport. No one would have predicted Indiana or Miami, and no one might have predicted that Adidas would have a national champion. But here we are. I think it's great for the industry. What do you think? Well, Alabama.
I wish, again, just another joint that I wish I would have played a lot earlier in this episode. But I feel like that's pretty much it. I feel like I got everything else. I do want to laugh. I'm gonna play this and I'm gone, dog.
Hey, yo, the dating scene has to be a very interesting one. Guy made a Tinder profile writing he had a criminal record for, and matches were made. He got over 800 matches in 48 hours. Let's take a look at some of the messages. Talk about honesty is the best policy, apparently. Take a look at this. Okay, I've got to ask about the criminal record of yours. I'm intrigued, to say the least. She caught me cheating, but that was years ago. I have to be honest, I am not the same. I'll give credit where credit's due. I appreciate the honesty. All right, that's one. Here's another. Willing to make an exception for the blue eyes. Seems like a yes. Exceptions can be made. Good. I must admit, I don't shower. What? You must be joking. I like my natural musk. I'm sure you will. You do look like you'd smell nice, so I'll take your word for it. What? I'll take your word for your musk? Should have been a T, natural musk. But anyway, are you this is how okay, let's keep reading. Do you want to make another half Italian baby? My apartment? Yes. Let me tell you something. When you're attractive, more importantly, when women are attracted to you, there are very few things that you can do to turn them off, okay? When a woman wants you, she wants you. Ain't nothing stopping her from wanting you. Nothing. The women who don't want you, you could have every single thing that they are looking for and they still wouldn't want you. You could have money. You could be respectful. You could be a gentleman. You could be all the things that she lists. If she's not into you, she's going to find a way to say, it's just... but this man is beating the odds, and that's not only beating. Let's keep reading. This is a list of some of the young ladies. Here's the funny thing. Why clear out some of the pictures? You still got their names up. They could be found, I'm sure. And people who know them can probably see this.
Okay, real quick. I ain't gonna lie to you. So people, for context clues, because maybe he blurred it out, because of course he still wanted this thing to go viral. So this man was basically on Tinder, made a Tinder profile, and he literally had charges of him with DV charges, and him sitting here literally. What was that other one? Was that the only one? Criminal record. Yeah, he had multiple different DV charges, and he got matched with over 800 women in less than 48 hours. That just lets you know how desperate women are to date. But I do want to sit here and play. I found I can't. I gotta play these. So let's go TikTok. Don't stop. I don't know. Have y'all seen I haven't seen it because I haven't really been on HBO Max like that. But I've heard people talk about it, and it's a show called, I believe it's called Rivalry or Hottest Rivalry or something like that. And I want to play, and I love Mel Robinson, and it's probably like the first time I've even heard her kind of talk about like a hot topic type of situation. But I guess it's kind of going to dating a little bit, or people's psychological thought pattern on why people like this show.
Why do heterosexual women love heated rivalry so much?
It's a hit for heterosexual women because that show taps into our fundamental need for desire. Why do I get turned on? Why do you get turned on watching two hot gay male hockey players have incredible mind-blowing sex? It's because we are designed as human beings to be creative in our desires and to place ourselves into imaginary situations that allow us to open ourselves to fantasies and desires and emotional states that are core to our level of wanting, but that don't translate into the details of what we want to do in real life. In heated rivalry, there's this sense of egalitarianism. They're both rich, they're both hot, they're both star hockey players. And so seeing them together, seeing them navigate a relationship where they both have equal power, it's, not a man dominating a woman. It's not a woman experiencing the need and the desire, which we're used to seeing. It's showing men express that desire and longing and wanting. We don't normally get to see that. It's not that we necessarily want to be having gay male sex, it's that our brains are beautifully configured to have fantasies and feel desire in a myriad number of creative, fantastic ways.
Well, that makes perfect sense because inside each and every one of us is this innate want to be desired.
Yes.
And when you see people devouring each other like that, and the intimacy building and the connection building, it reminds you that you want that too in your life. Why do heterosexual...
Hey dog, let me tell you something. And when I hear men, now that I know that that show is really based on, I promise you, I'm going to judge any man who sit here and say they watch this goddamn heated rivalry show. Like, that is absolutely crazy. Dog. I'm telling you for a fact, I'm never like, one, I don't give a fuck about hockey, and two, I'm definitely not trying to see two gay white niggas. Nah, I'm cool, though. I ain't gonna hold you.
Black people were not taught the same dating scripts or socialized to date the same way that white people are. From a young age, white people teach their children how to build successful relationships with the opposite sex. They allow their teenagers to have boyfriends because they see dating as a way to build a social skill. They are taught formal dating etiquette, asking out, picking up, flowers, dinner. Courtship is a rehearsal for adult roles. They are learning how to be providers, wives, and husbands at a young age. The goal is to produce individuals who can replicate proper pair bonding. So the outcome is you have a bunch of teenage relationships that are modeled as mini marriages. It is a rehearsal for future domestic contracts. Whereas Black people do not teach their children formal dating etiquette. Black parents' primary focus is making sure their children do not get pregnant or get anyone pregnant. Sex is a risk to be managed. Girls are told, don't have sex, don't be fast, don't get pregnant. It's about negation and danger. The focus is about avoiding ruin instead of seeking or recognizing healthy connections.
They don't teach you how a man should treat you. They teach you that men only want one thing and you shouldn't give it to them. Boys are told to use a condom and not come home with anybody pregnant. Focus is on avoiding legal and financial consequences, not on proper relationship conduct. So the underlying goal in the Black community is crisis prevention. And so the outcome from that is that adult relationships default to a sexual transaction framework, because that is the only framework that was explicitly discussed. This is why situationships is the default setting in Black dating. It's the adult extension of the secretive, sex-centered interactions that we were only offered when we were young. This is why courtship rituals feel foreign or performative in our community. We were never given the communal training the same way that white people are. And this is why almost every Black woman I know has lost their virginity in some type of situationship and never been in a serious relationship. And almost every white woman I know lost her virginity in a serious relationship and has never not been in a serious relationship. All the white women I know have been in consecutive serious relationships, because we were taught different social scripts. This is why there's always so much gender war conversation amongst Black people, because now we are learning the social scripts that white people have known since they were children. Now Black women want the romantic script that they have been deprived of since youth. How they want the flowers, they want the whining and dining, they want the money, they want to be provided for. And the same goes for Black men. This is why they're constantly comparing Black women to white women, because now they know that white women perform femininity in their relationships. They perform softness and submissiveness in their relationship. And now that's what they desire. So now we're arguing back and forth about a script that never was taught to neither of us. Our social script was born out of survival. Our people were trying to survive to make sure that we can get out of our economic situation and move upwards. So they were focused on making sure we didn't have any children that would prevent us from getting there. This is why I say white supremacy and white normatives are so dangerous to our community. Because when you don't understand where these social scripts come from, it confuses us. It causes tension and friction between us. And looking to a group of people who are miserable within the social script that they created, I might add, is stupid. White women are miserable in their heteronormative relationships.
All right, I feel like that was a lot. I feel like I'm getting out of here. I ain't gonna lie to you. Sometimes when I had these solo Jones, well, you can bang out for 3 hours by yourself. You gotta give yourself a round of applause. So again, we back to our regular norm, God willing. Next, I guess next weekend, next Tuesday, whenever you normally listen to the show. I just want to say appreciate you. And if you are in the snow, please, and if you don't have to go to work or school, please just stay in the house for a couple of days. No, it's not going to kill you. I hope that your house is comfortable enough for you to actually be able to stay in there for 2 to 3 days and just relax. Get you some rest. Watch some TV shows. Watch some of these movies that came out on this nominated for some of these awards. And again, like, share, and subscribe. Tell a friend and tell another friend. I'll holler at y'all next week.